Oh, perfect. Looks like it's working this time. Alright. Come one, come all, nothing but love and good feelings. Today is an amazingly good day because today we're doing our top 50 One Piece characters stream. I've got with me today Daniel. Daniel, say hi.
Hello.
And we've got with us Glittercorn. Glittercorn, say hi.
Hello.
Perfect. Now we're just going to do a quick quality check and make sure that we are streaming. It says we're live, but I'm also not seeing a connection down the bottom. I think we should be right.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Glittercorn, is Angus getting the feed?
For you.
Anyway, so we're doing top 50 stream today. I think the best course of action is
Yes, he
starting
is.
starting from 50. What we'll do is all of us will have our names underneath. We'll go from 50, each of us saying the character, until we get to about 40 to 30, and then we probably might start doing a couple characters at a time to speed it up, if that's all good with you guys.
Yep.
Fine with me.
Alright, perfect. So, does anyone want to specifically go first in the order? If not, I'm happy to break that barrier. My
Sure.
my my number 50 is actually, this is the only people that I've got on the list that were interchangeable. Okay, realistically. So my number
Okay.
50, as I wrote my list, I actually ended up going down to 53 as I added more people in that I'd forgot from time to time. So my number 50 is actually Van Orga from the Blackbeard Pirates. 51 would be Yasop. Okay?
Ooh.
Might be a bit... I know some people might not have even considered them, or for some people that might be very low down on the list, considering he's the third mate for the Blackbeard Pirates. But my reasoning for it is because he's the third mate, he's most likely reasonably high. Pre-time skip, we saw that he was an absolute insane sniper, so I've got no reason to question his sniping skills. And in fact, in terms of sniping, there's only really three snipers in the world of One Piece that we've seen, and compared to Usopp and Yasop, I actually would probably lean towards Van Orga being the best sniper so far that we've seen. Pre-time skip and through the Vivre cards, we know that he's got observation Haki pre-time skip or Haki pre-time skip, so I only assume that it's gotten better. And physically, I view Van Orga sort of like a cracker role, where he himself is probably pretty weak, but if you're in range of the sniper, he's an absolute weapon, and we saw pre-time skip how quickly he got the draw on Ace shooting.
Say that's
Yeah.
too red hot of a take, because personally, without giving my list away, in my top, like my final five, like 45 to 50, that's kind of where those two people are. So I'd kind of agree
Fair?
with that.
Alright, Daniel, what's yours?
I don't have a 50.
You don't have a 50?
However, I will say, so I stopped at 47, but I will say I have not got Van Orga on my list at all.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I would put him within the 50 and 47 range, I suppose.
Glitter, you've got a 50?
Yeah. So after a little bit of like strenuous thinking, I've actually ended up at 50 with Who's Who.
Who's who? Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting, I like.
It just felt right considering the like for me the top three Beast Pirates are semi up there. So for me it was I think there's a skill gap personally between Jack and Who's Who and all the rest of it. So
Okay, no, that's fair enough. You obviously not having a 50, Daniel. I'll go to
Yeah.
49. My 49 is Vice Admiral Momonga. Um, realistically, outside of a very, very, very few select, Momonga to me has had the best betrayal out of all the Vice Admirals in the Marines. Again, outside of like Garp and Suru. And even there, it's more sort of legend in status, if that makes sense. He's currently in charge of the G1 base, which is now Old Marineford. And
Mm-hmm.
even though we saw him sort of be on the losing end to Boa pre-time skip, I feel like I feel like Vice Admirals are very interchangeable with like New World captains, if that makes sense. So in Marineford, you had like all of Whitebeard's allies versing Vice Admirals and things like that. And so as we've gotten into the New World following Luffy and the story now, the way I see the Vice Admiral range is you can get that range sort of goes from people as weak as Maynard that got off-screened by Barto, who you could argue is as strong as like some fodder New World captain, like, you know, Pinkbeard sort of stuff, all the way up to the more respectable captains like Who's Who and things like that. And so being part of the Marines, we know as a Vice Admiral he has Haki, so that's confirmed. We've seen him use some of the powers like Shave and stuff like that, and in certain filler aspects we've seen him use projectile sword slashes and stuff like that. So realistically, I mean, outside of filler, Zoro hasn't shown using Shave and things like that, you know what I mean? So I feel like Momonga, even though it's on the low end, it's still reasonable to have him in that sort of top 50 range as one of the best Vice Admirals.
Yep, I can understand that. I honestly don't have too strong of opinion on the lower level people.
It gets harder the lower it is. Like, the higher up the list it goes, the more
Yeah.
like
Oh,
confident I
easy.
am with like
Yeah.
each
Higher
and
up
every
people are
person.
going to be the arguments. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Fine. The bottom few will just be
Semantics,
whether or not you
really.
thought of them, really. Yeah.
Glitter, who's your 49?
Yasop.
Yasop. I take it the same sort of argument that I had before?
Yeah, because my 48 is obviously Van, and then 49 Yasop. So I was hovering around the same kind of fear you were with that.
No, good. I definitely like that. Ooh, hang on. I know my next one above Momonga. Not sure if I'm happy with this position, in all honesty. Because, again, like I said, I thought Momonga might have been a touch lower than he necessarily should be. But my 48 for the moment is X-Drake. So, X-Drake pre-time skip was a rear admiral. I have no reason to say that he's not reached the sort of Vice Admiral range in that post-time skip with any increases that he's gotten. He's shown fairly reasonable swordsmanship and stuff like that in, you know, the Wino arc and throughout bits and pieces throughout the story and that. X-Drake is a really hard person. If you'd asked me where he was last year, I would hands down just say, like, he would be Zoro's opponent for the arc and that he was going to absolutely dominate Zoro for most of the fight. Now, though, with what we saw with X-Drake and Apu, and how Zoro just came in and sort of finessed the whole thing, and even X-Drake looked really sort of like shook from it, I can't really place him any higher than that.
To be honest, I don't
Yeah, but-
have him on my list. So I can agree with what you're saying. For me, I think he, prior to, as you said, I think prior to Wano, I might have said something else. And then the actions that have been displayed currently, I didn't necessarily have the heart to put him, considering I just felt that there were more deserving people. It's not that I don't think he has merit. I think it's if I had to limit it to 50, I found it hard to place him. Yet. Just where we are currently. I'm sure he'll probably play a larger role as the greater battle kind of unfolds potentially. But just from right now, I don't have the heart to put him over people who I have on my list currently.
No, I can definitely see that and agree with that.
Okay. I have a question about the placement of Drake. So, without revealing the exact list, what number would you say Drake would rank in the Supernova?
In the Supernova,
That
Try
many
not to list them because then you're
supernova.
giving away a lot of your list, right?
yeah,
I
okay.
haven't actually put a lot of supernova on my list.
I
Actually,
can go from, see, Luffy at the moment is at the top. Kid's disappointed me the last couple of the last the last couple of chapters. He's disappointed me a little bit just with his lack of knowing what Rio is. You know what I mean?
Huh?
So
yeah.
Kid is second to me, followed by Law. After Law, it's a bit of a toss-up. I used to say Drake, but now I'm thinking I'm gonna have to go with Zoro.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a toss-up again because Drake definitely seemed like he was overwhelming Apu, so I'd put Drake above Apu, but now I don't know where I slide Killer in there, especially since he's on the rooftop fighting Big Mom and Kaido.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, so Luffy, Kid, Law, say Zoro X Drake, Killer, Apu.
So Drake is fifth.
Yeah, about that.
Okay. So my question, the reason for asking that was, what number in strength do you think Yasop is on Shanks's crew?
Number 3.
Number 3. You think Yasop is third?
Yep.
So then, because we know that Shanks has like the strongest overall level, or we believe that he has the strongest overall level of fighters on his crew, we would assume that they're reasonably close in strength. That there's not just like two
See,
monsters, like and then a massive fall off. And
I
so, my argument would be, if you put Yasop as number 3 on that crew, then shouldn't he be above the third ranked Supernova
so I
in
feel like
strength?
the
Because I would
Supernovas.
consider the Supernovas to get wiped by the Shanks
I
Pirates.
feel like the Supernovas at the moment, the lower end of the Supernovas are around the 4th Division Commander range. So that's the likes of, Urouge and Capone sort of thing, around that 4th Commander range. And then from there it
Mhm.
just sort of jumps up all the way to Luffy at, like, above a First Commander. So the fact that I have Drake above Yasop is more so just sort of saying that, like, he slides in above that third command, well, around that third commander range. Like, realistically, Yasop,
Yeah, but then are you considering Yasop as a third commander level, like cracker level, or are you considering him third on Shanks's crew? Because we would assume that Shanks's crew, the crewmates of Shanks's crew, would generally be stronger than their
see,
corresponding
it's
due to the lower numbers.
it's really hard because to me the sniper class as a whole in One Piece,
It's a specialty.
it's a
That's
specialty,
yeah.
and the strongest people at sniping are still sort of weaker overall than a lot of other combatants, even though, like, they've got some ridiculous techniques from range. Like,
That's where I
So does
went
that
for.
mean you wouldn't put Yasop as number 3 on Shanks's crew?
I've got him as number 3 on Shanks's crew, but,
For a lack
like,
of, for me, it was for a lack of awareness,
it's not
really, of Shanks's crew as a whole. Really,
how I sort of see it, right, is Shanks's crew, and Yasop's singled out with the likes of Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo. So it goes Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo, Yasop always getting singled out, right? To me, Yasop is like, he's up there, but I feel like he sort of loses out as a third commander to some of the other third commanders, where Shanks's first and second commander just dominate a lot more. And then when we get to the sort of that, like, filler
Yeah.
range where it plateaus out, where you've got like the Flying Six or Oven and Daifuku, Shanks's crew in that range dominates a lot more. Like, his group's a lot more close to nip, where, like, after Yasop they're all sort of like right neck and neck for like a good portion of it. Whereas with the other Yonko crews, it really just starts to taper off a lot more, if that makes sense.
So
Like,
you don't think people like Lucky Roo and Yasop could tangle with people like Smoothie?
I think Smoothie loses to Lucky Roo. I think Yasop can tangle with her from a distance, but I don't necessarily know if I would say he beats her or has an overwhelming presence against her, if that makes sense.
My thing is because of the sniper class, because of being ranged fighters, and if I look at the other, people in third being either just straight up combatants or having a strength in that field, it's hard to imagine that if a shot was landed on Yasop, that there's much he's going to be able to do about that situation at all. So for me, because Shanks's crew already is so elusive, and I think that's by design at this stage for Oda. It's for me, I'm not feats orientated because I like to keep an open mind, but without seeing much of Shanks's crew, and all we have is notoriety, really, and especially when in
you wouldn't want to
comparison
feel like
to
just
three.
hyping.
Okay.
Correct, but I
them
didn't
up,
want to
yeah.
do him dirty either because, as you've said, Shanks's crew, smaller crew than the rest of the Yonko, there has to be something there for such rapid progress. Even if we don't even know if that could be just Shanks carrying the whole thing skill-wise. But my point is that you're completely right as well. When you go smaller crew, the skill set has to be there for it to be on the rise as much as it has been. So for me, placing him there is like fair. He's top 50 material. I just don't know where I'd put a sniper in comparison to the other combatants, because just brute force, you don't even have to be skilled necessarily, but if you land that shot on that person, what are they going to do about it?
Okay.
There's no defense there.
Realistically, the way I say it, right, is we don't have a benchmark for what a great sniper in One Piece is like. The closest thing we've seen to a top tier sniper post time skip is Katakuri with his jelly beans. That's really handy against fodder, sort of useless against like high tier people, right? We can't necessarily just go, okay, well, Yasop's on Shanks's crew, so he's immediately got Rio because they're supposed to be good with Haki. We just sort of don't know. Like, I see him having
At the
great
same
observation
time,
Haki.
you wouldn't need Rio to beat Drake. Drake doesn't require Rio. Like Rio isn't. We don't necessarily know how much Rio actually increases the strength of your powers or whatever.
Okay.
We just know it allows you to hit people.
When I say Rio, I mean being able to Haki up a sniper bullet and shoot to damage, say, like a Logia, or to do extra piercing damage. Like, realistically, like, we've seen even now Izo shooting, and it's good for utility, but hasn't been good for combat so far. So, like, we saw
Izo's also like 18th commander.
Yes, but in terms of Yasop, I give Yasop the credit, but I just feel like the sniper class as a whole at the moment is sort of a lot less for individual combat base. Like, if it was in the flip situation,
I'd agree.
If we were in a flip
I'd agree that the sniper class is like weaker, and honestly, I wouldn't even necessarily put Yasop number 3. I don't think. I haven't thought too much about Shanks's crew, like the rankings, but I wouldn't necessarily. I would consider him like slightly on the weaker side, of at least like the OG crew. But you saying number 3 on Shanks's crew, knowing that Shanks's crew is likely quite like on a higher level than most Yonko crews, and then saying that Yasop is weaker than Drake doesn't sit with me. If Drake is the 5th strongest Supernova, and in general, I would assume like if you, let's say all the Supernovas joined and made one crew, I would assume Shanks's crew would be a little bit stronger than the Supernova.
It's hard. When we finish the list, after discussion and finishing the lists, I do want to do amendments if anyone has changed where they want to place someone. So I'll definitely consider, because again, to me, my number 50 is Yasop and Van Orga. I've got them sort of tied because I don't necessarily say that one's outrageously above the other. I just sort of put them at that flat benchmark with each other, if that makes sense. It's just, with both of them, even though Yasop's a 3rd commander, I don't necessarily see him, like, I see him shooting someone's sword out of their hands the same as Izo did. I see him being able to, like, pin down someone's movements so they can't move. Like, Cracker. I don't necessarily see Yasop's bullets having so much extra ability that they're stronger than a Gear 4 punch. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't seen enough of him, so I can't really formulate that. But it's also, like, you could even make the argument that wherever Yasop is now, even though he's the third commander on Shanks' crew, right, is sort of where you might see Usopp at the end of the series, depending on if you see Usopp surpassing his dad. And
Yeah.
And that's for me. That's where it becomes really unfortunate. And this is no shade to Usopp. I love the character. However, it's a shame that the only predominant use of sniping we've seen in the series is his example, because it's then okay. Do you see end series? Because we're assuming this is the Pirate King crew. This is what we're assuming. Where is Usopp going to be in your top 30 by the end of the series? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, for me,
yeah.
it's snipers are already hard. Like, in general, even if we weren't talking about such, One Piece characters that have such high resilience and all the rest of it, but it's hard when our only comparison of skill really is either being told, not shown, or then comparing it to Usopp, who, for the larger part, while useful, just is completely outshone by fellow members of his own crew in terms of all-roundness, in terms of defensive and
especially
combatant,
when
and
we're at a point where, like, this whole list, like, these people could take, like, a house falling on them and just get up like, oh, okay, that was a house, whatever, keep moving on. With Yasop, like, I'm not saying he couldn't, like, handle that physically, but what I mean is, like, with him sniping, I could see it, like, the Shanks crew is off. You can't even see them on the horizon, and they're coming up to an enemy ship, and the enemy's soldiers just start dropping. They got no idea
that's
what's
how I
going
view it.
on, but they're just getting sniped by Yasop. He's super deadly at range, and he's like able to take out just all the fodder before they even get close. So there's like, it's not a numbers game. But then when they get up close, he's got to sort of hang back and just sort of pin down people's movements for the rest of the crew to be more effective.
See, I'm not necessarily arguing that Yasop is strong or weak or whatever. Generally, like what I would say is, if you're saying that snipers in general are fairly weak, or they don't have as much utility, or they're better against fodder or whatever, then I would just say that he shouldn't be ranked third in the Shanks' crew then.
Well,
Right, so my main argument is that whoever is ranked third in the Shanks' crew should be ranked higher than fifth in their Supernova.
we're told...
It doesn't really matter that it's a sniper or that it's Yasop in general. It's more just generally the fifth ranked Supernova should be weaker than the third ranked Shanks.
I don't know,
member.
because all the Supernova, like, arguably are rivals for Shanks, not for Shanks' third commander. You know what I mean? And I mean, I know none of them hold a
potentially,
candle
but
to
they're
that.
all also like much
Weaker.
inferior tiers. Like, you've obviously probably put like second division commanders above these people.
Yeah. Well, this will be funny when you see my next person. Glittercorn, who's your 48?
Mine was Van.
Van
So
Order?
remember, I put Van. My 48 and 49 were Van and Yasop.
Alright.
I just felt that was a safe place to put them both, because I think it honors the skill. But it's, as we've talked about, it's a bit hard.
My 47 used to be my 48. I swapped these people around before when I sort of stood back and went, nah, I can't even give that. And my 47 is Jack the Drought.
Ooh.
So, I have a fair few people. A lot of them, well, not a lot of them, but a reasonable amount of people. And the reason why I made it a top 50 stream is because the only rule was currently alive, right? So we're not excluding people that you can speculate a lot about, like Dragon, you know what I mean? So I gave this sort of wiggle room so the top 30 wasn't just going to be the exact same people that you're all speculating on. You got that room to sort of
Have a chat about it.
have a chat and fill out some people that are going to automatically be in certain places. The reason why I swapped Jack to being above Drake is because I took a moment to think about it and I went, okay, well, does Jack beat Drake? Does Drake beat Jack? Not necessarily, because if he did, he probably should have been the third commander on the Beast Pirates crew already. Depending on what his goal is, you would have thought that by getting higher up in the ranks quicker, Kaido would have been more fond of him, like the other Tobiroko. And then I just sort of looked at it in another way, and I went, okay, well, a mammoth versus an Allosaurus. You'd think an Allosaurus, but then I was like, oh, I don't know. A mammoth charges an Allosaurus, knocks an Allosaurus on its side, and just rampages on it. I'm probably going to give it to the woolly mammoth by the end of the day. So that was the deciding factor: who wins, a woolly mammoth or an Allosaurus.
I would have loved to have seen that thought process for you, like
I mean-
visually.
Other than that, there's nothing really that separates them. They're both dual swordsmen. It's just we're told one has a higher rank than the other, realistically, and one has a tangible bounty where the other one doesn't. Daniel, this would be your first contribution to the list. Who's your 47?
Right. So my 30 to 47 are pretty crappy, so I'm not really going to defend them too hard. Actually, I might when I start to get closer to the 30s. Candyman is my number 47.
Pedo Sparrow.
Oh, okay.
To be honest, the reason why I had him there was I typed out a bunch of names for the top 30, and he was the weakest of the names that I typed out. That's really it.
I mean, that's fair.
Okay.
Whatever you got to do.
Okay.
Glittercorn, who's yours?
I actually have Oven coming in at 47.
Interesting.
Yeah, I again, a bit like Daniel, I am ready to take a hit for my 30 to 50 because she is messy. However, for some reason, okay, so just without spoiling, there are actually, when I look at my list, there's actually only a handful of Big Mum pirates in this list for me. And almost beast pirates, actually, when I look at my list. So for me, I don't actually see putting him in as a slight. I actually see, at 47, I actually see that as to his betterment because there's only like two or three people above him from Big Mum Pirates on this list of the top 50. So that's who. But it's, Big Mum Pirates dominating 47.
I'm actually one of those. I actually really do like Oven, and I actually do think he's like real strong. Just because his fruit is just so ridiculous.
I mean, he boiled the.
Well, he has Haki as well, though. He's got both armament and observation, and he's still ridiculous without it.
Exactly, but like the only way to argue against his fruit being busted is to say, yeah, but he's got terrible Haki. He's a bad fighter, but like. Even if he didn't have Haki at all, his fruit is really good.
I mean, it's like
him being weak. But then again, his like tier in the crew is like quite low.
Oven has the inverse showcase of our Kiji's Ice Age. He was boiling an ocean, low diff,
exactly.
just like hands in the water, bang.
Well, he boiled the ocean, and I think the fact that there's some armament Haki, some mild observation Haki has been mentioned. For me, that's why I consider him one of the more stronger members of the Big Mum Pirates. But when I just made the list, he just started to drift down for some reason. I'm not proud of where he is, but that is where he is currently.
I mean, I don't have him on the list just because I think people above him, like people on my list, are just like way too strong. But generally, like, I don't necessarily think he's super weak. So I'm fine.
It's not surprising to see him in the top 50.
Yeah, the only real gripe that I would have is if you put someone above him that I think is weaker, if you know what I mean. Like, generally, I can't really judge your list yet because we're only a couple people in. So that's what I mean. Like, when I pulled out the Drake versus Yasop thing, it's because it's a reason where I was like, sure, Drake could be that strong, but I think Yasop is stronger. And so for me, it's like, as soon as you put someone above and then the person below them,
Well, see, I won with that because I didn't even put Drake, but I put Yasop. So I feel I'm going okay so far. I haven't offended Daniel.
Well, we're pulling into the 46 range now, and at 46, I have Imperio Ivankov.
Oh.
I don't have her. I forgot about Ivankov.
Yeah.
Wait, surely I didn't forget about Ivankov. She's pretty good.
Yeah. So
I have her higher.
Oh no, I've made a mistake there.
See,
oh no,
Ivankov is someone that just gets slept on repeatedly because, again, pre-time skip showcasings for a lot of characters was really hard because you couldn't like upscale them in a lot of ways. But Ivankov is in charge of the Grand Lion Army. For the revolutionaries. So currently, like, no matter where you saw Kuma when Kuma was a rev, the current hierarchy goes Dragon, Sabo, Ivankov. That's
felt that I had to put Ivy in the least for the 40 to 50 range, because if we're looking at the revolutionaries the way we do, I was like, it would be a slight to consider like first commanders and all the rest of it, and then completely sleep on the revolutionaries altogether. So I actually have Ivy higher, not too much higher, but I do have her higher because, yeah,
That's fair.
because I feel that way.
I know a lot of my higher up people are like, again, the further we go up the list, the more I'm cemented that it's just like, these people are just a lot stronger than people either give credit for or just haven't thought of, if that makes sense. Like, Ivankov here to me is, like, I've got him above Jack and Van Augur / Yasop, so he's in that third commander range, which he should be. He's able to not only change his gender, he has a projectile attack with his Death Wink. He can essentially shave using his head and do multiple Death Winks. He can increase
He
his
at least
stamina and
has
strength.
Sanji. At least has Sanji's kick strength immediately post time skip. Because Sanji's entire time skip power up was just learning what Ivankov has.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, realistically, going away from that, off the bat of the time skip, Sanji's, like, just under Ivankov to me. And that's a little bit to Ivankov's detriment, but that being said, the entire Revolutionary Army and the way it's actually, like, set up from a hierarchy standpoint seems to be, individually, there's only 2 really good people. It's just how their entire organization works and support with each other makes them, like, boost tremendously in combat together as a whole unit. It's like it's like the Straw Hats in a lot of way. Like, you take them all individually and they're sort of like, yeah, you're reasonably impressive, but you're nothing to write home about. But then you put them all in a, like, combat situation together and they're taking down people like Oars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've added Ivankov and I've kicked my list down one. So I have a new 47. It is. Or do we want to go for Liv's first?
No, we'll go yours. I'll just move Perisparrow down one to 48. Who's your 47?
Okay, so my 47 is the cat and dog, Neko and Ino Rashi.
Neko
Bit tired
/
because there's been
Ino.
nothing
Rightio.
separating them.
So just to double check, you forgot Ivy.
Yes.
So you've got them interchangeable, doesn't matter?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that have actually separated their strength. They're both tied against everything and have the same feats in every way. So
is that your 46 and 47 for the 2 of them?
Yep.
Perfect.
Oh, just 47. I just had them as the same. Is that all right?
I don't have a problem against it.
Okay.
They're sort of the exact same thing, people, whatever. Who's your 46?
Yeah. Hey?
46?
That is Jack.
Jack. So not not really. Like, we have a difference in placing of Jack by 1 with each other. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Jack's just slightly big.
Glittercorn, you're 46.
I am absolutely not proud of this. I'm really not.
Just
But I
backhanding the mic.
had to list them because I know for a fact that you didn't. And I felt that that was a bit of a slight. So I had to include number 46, the beautiful Poison Babe Reiju, and Ichiji. As a bit of a...
Both of them at 46?
Well,
Damn, Daniel!
I'm so bad.
Was that both of them at
Yeah,
46?
because I couldn't necessarily choose between them. I feel like it hints to... so you can't say it hints to Reiju, but it's just that Reiju and Sanji's relationship was so important for the arc that I think she got. But you could argue it's interchangeable. I honestly couldn't decide for me, so I just decided to have both of them because I felt like I needed to list them. I'm not necessarily 100% sold where they are, but I believe that given the significance of what we were told about them, they should be at least somewhere in the top 50. Surely.
Can I keep adding people in, or should I wait until we do the amendments?
Wait until the amendments. I
just
personally...
put like a note beside you, just like
I'm going to get to
this.
50 while we do this.
I personally didn't include Reiju and Ichiji in on the list. I have Sanji in, against what some people might say. My personal thought of it is Sanji was weaker than them as a whole group without the raid suit, but he was still beating Yonji without a raid suit, if that makes sense. So it was really like a 1, 2, 3, 4 situation.
Huh?
Since
Sanji's
he got
placement
his
is
raid suit, that sort of threw Sanji up another 1 or 2 tiers to me, like realistically. Before the raid suit, I don't necessarily see Sanji really doing anything to a like top 3 commander. With the raid suit, well, I mean, we've seen what he did to, the likes of Page 1 and then stealthing around with King and whatnot. So I don't have a problem with Reiju and Ichiji being on here. I just did not include any other Vince Smokes on my list.
Yep.
my
I'm
Sanji
okay with that.
placement may be a bit controversial, but I agree. I just felt that I needed to put them there because narratively, like, the Germa, you know what I mean? Like, they just seem to have been at least relevant for the top 50, because you'd just assume, considering they're not hype necessarily, but what we're just told of achievement-wise, that they're a bit of a force. But I can't confidently put them, considering that they almost semi got wiped in Whole Cake. I don't know where to put them. I just felt like I needed to put them on the list.
No, that's fair enough. 45 for me was Cracker. So I have Cracker above Ivankov, Jack, and Yasop. The reasoning for this, sort of Cracker out of a third commander other than Jozu, and I don't even know if I've got Jozu on the list from memory, but Cracker, like, really had a great showcasing as a commander.
Yeah, Cracker had a ridiculously good, like for a third division commander, he had a ridiculously
For
good
a
showing.
third commander with 1 HP, he was like if you were to bring Cracker out at Marineford pre-time skip, the threat of the Pacifista is a non-factor. That changes that war scenario ridiculously, and that's without him even using his main body. That is ridiculous. That is like in terms of armament haki, he was able to cut Gear 4's skin. In terms of defensive ability, it took Gear 4 to break a shield, but even then, it took a full Gear 4 Kong Punch to break the shield, which he could instantly repair and create a new shield, plus make multiple. He has one of the best showcasings, and it's like actually disgusting. Like
It's annoying
It's
because there's a lot of
feral,
people I think should be better than him, but I can't argue it. It's just really annoying because his showcasing was just too good.
If people could break through the Cracker, by all means, they beat him. But that's the problem. That threshold is a top 45 position to me.
Here's the thing, though, because of like Luffy's Gear 4 at that stage in the show, if Luffy could break the Cracker, he would just like waste Cracker like so easily, and then the third division commander level would become a joke. And like you would just think of third division commanders as being like quite weak because Luffy would just go into Gear 4 and just smash him just like he smashed Dofi.
I would agree.
And then it would be over.
But at the same time, the fact that it took Luffy 12 hours to overcome that with a direct nerf to the Cracker as well, just continues giving Cracker just that unfair, like just the Oda wank. It was just ridiculously like to his favor for that whole situation.
Actually,
I completely
now that I
agree.
think about it, he should have gotten washed when the Crackers got wet. That would have been a good way to scale him. It would have been normally he can take a Gear 4 punch, but he still got washed once you can break it.
The fact
that would have been a good position for him, but he's even better than that.
See, the reason why I put him under Smoothie still, apart from the whole like first, second, third commander range, even though we didn't get numbers for the Big Mom Pirates, we just got bounties. Smoothie's whole like ability is using moisture as a weapon. So to me, she directly counters Cracker anyway, because if it wasn't for that, like Cracker could probably even give Katakuri a reasonably tough time. Like the Future Sight dominates Cracker, but it's one of those.
We don't know that he could break it.
Yeah, well, I'd assume he could, since he was sort of hurting Luffy's haki with his punches. But I mean, even then, like it's still sort of questionable. You know what I mean?
It would be the same level that Luffy could break it once the Crackers got wet. He can, but it's not like it's easy.
Yeah. Who's your 45, Daniel?
My 45 is Ashura Doji.
Ooh. I'm not going to criticize having the scabbards on here. I personally didn't put them in my list just because, on reflection, personally, the scabbards are ranking a lot higher because they're fresher in people's minds and because they had the use of Rio and the swordsman. Swordsman's if One Piece was like an RPG, swordsman is like just hands down the easiest class to just start getting like ridiculously strong stats in from base.
Yeah, I would agree, but my general idea is he beat Jack. Jack is 46, he's 45. That's it. And I'm pretty sure he's literally the only scabbard on the list.
That's fair, and a lot of people see him as the strongest scabbard. I toss it up between Ashura Doji and Denjiro. I have no problems with having
That's the
Ashura
thing.
Doji there.
Denjiro might be stronger, but I don't have like a huge liking for the scabbard, so I'm not willing to argue him into the list. And Ashura has only spot by beating Jack, and Jack is on the list.
I mean,
whereas Denjiro hasn't. He's had decent showings, and you could maybe argue him onto the list. But Ashura Doji is easy. It's just he beat Jack. Like he was definitely going to win that fight.
that's a fair stance. Glitter, who's your 45? Sorry, who was that? I don't think your mic's picking you up at the moment.
Oh,
There we go.
hear me now?
Yep.
Sorry. Jack?
Perfect. There we go. I feel like in terms of a consistency there, if you average it out, Jack's just sitting around that 46 range, considering we've got a nice little diag going there.
Yeah.
I've got nothing really to say other than that. Like, he seems reasonably around that 45 mark to 47 mark.
No,
Yeah,
there's
I
not.
mean,
There's
we'll
not
see
much
as we
tea
say.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
Controversy.
see if we say
yet.
people top like above him and just be like, but could they beat Jack? And usually it's going to be a yeah.
So this is where a potential controversy may or may not sneak in. I have at 44 Yamato.
Oof.
Oh.
Yeah.
You might those are either oofs of she's way too low or oofs of she made it on the list. See,
Either way.
No, you know,
Way too low?
No, she's too low.
you know how Daniel and I feel. Yamato is in my top 30. For you to not even put her, for her to not even crack where she is, it just hurts my soul. It hurts my soul a
no.
little bit.
Yeah, Yamato's quite tough. I just see her being pretty high tier. So, well, not pretty high tier, but better than
So far,
that.
Yamato's
Being
got the
kind of
I'm
same.
glad you put her above Cracker. 'Cause I
Yamato.
know how much you respect Cracker's strength.
Yeah.
So
So
I think you put her above Cracker.
I put her above Cracker because to me she has the same feats that Jinbei has of tangling with Ace for a prolonged period of time. So she's on that second commander level. To me, Ace was the strongest second commander at his full strength pre-time skip, right? Yamato, to me, was
So I could see that, but at the same time, that was
What a-
before Ace, immediately before Ace joined Whitebeard's crew.
It wasn't.
And he had a little bit of time to grow before he fought
It
Yamato.
wasn't-
And also,
It wasn't before he
Yamato-
joined the Whitebeard Pirates. He was part of the Whitebeard Pirates, but it was before he took the symbol of being part of the Whitebeard Pirates properly. So it sort of slits in like a sort of halfway through the Ace novel, in like a just side mission sort of thing.
okay, well, how long do you think it would have been after he fought Jinbei?
It was definitely after he fought Jinbei, because Jinbei was the first thing that happened when he went into the New World, so it had to be before Wano. Realistically, it doesn't matter, because that's just like a theoretical feat. For Yamato, her personal feat, for me, was one-shotting one of the numbers on a flying
Can I ask you a
slash.
question then?
That attack right there, to me, I'm like, okay, I could see something like that breaking a Cracker Biscuit shield, because it's an impact-based thing, taking on something that's in the 60-meter range and just one-shotting it clean. So to me, that's sort of like, okay, I can put her over damaging a Cracker, and because I put Cracker like sort of wiping the floor with the people below him, I'm like, that's a safe spot for her. Moving above that, it's a little bit more speculative, because I know Yamato has a fruit that we're yet to see, so she might all of a sudden come out of nowhere, surprise me, and be, top 20. But for the moment, I feel a lot safer and more comfortable putting her at 44, where she's in that range, but she's not necessarily the top of. Oh, hang on.
Can I ask you a question then? And spoiler, but where have you put Jinbei then, if you're arguing that Ace is the benchmark of your measurement here?
Next.
Close.
I was about to
He's
say,
close.
if he's not close, I was about to be like, you're doing a bit of dirty there then.
Yeah, I would say that.
You'd
Ace.
have to.
I'd say that Ace potentially had a small amount of time to develop before he fought Yamato, and then also Yamato is young and has had a couple of years to develop until this point now. Whereas I think Jinbei kind of was plateaued at that position. So I would consider Yamato has grown more than Jinbei has over these last 2 years, and therefore should be stronger.
I think it's for me trying to suss the logic out there that if he is comparing like impositional wise for Ace, then at risk of being a little bit sneaky with her, putting her down a bit too low, then surely Jinbei would have to be there. But if Jinbei's higher, then he's going to have to
I'll just say,
defend himself.
From 34 to 44, so like Yamato's the start of this is the shakiest part of my list. These people, I look at this part of the list and I go, oh, no, I'll swap it. Oh, no, I'll swap it. It's very hard, because the next person, the way I'm feeling right now, I want to swap the next person with the person that comes after them. But at the same time, I'm like, can I do that? You know what I mean? That being said, Daniel, who is your 44?
My 44 is Cracker. That was pretty anticlimactic. It goes Jack, Astro Doji, Cracker. Third Division Commander, Astro Doji who beat him, and then slightly stronger Third Division Commander.
That's fair. That's reasonable to me. I don't have any qualms with Cracker being in that range. You don't have any?
I don't have any qualms with it, no.
Alright, who's your 44, Glitter?
I am ashamed. But just as a warning shot out there, I'm not proud. A bit the same. My 40 to 45, not very proud of it, gonna be real. Not my best work. I've actually put Kuma.
Ooh.
I know.
Wait, what do you think? Do you think it should be higher or lower?
I don't know. I think I've laboured over this one particular decision so long. I don't know now. It's like when you look at a word after you've written it, and it's like, is that even spelt correctly anymore?
Yeah.
Like I've been staring at this one choice all day. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Coming in at 43 on my list, and again, these next couple are very interchangeable. At 43, we have Jinbei, and yes, he did predict it.
And just above.
It had to be with that logic. I was like, it had to be.
I give Jinbei the credit, having been a warlord and having more worldly experiences, being out and more active, and even throughout the Ace novel and throughout the story, knowing that he does a bit more rookie crushing than some of the other people like Yamato, or a bit more stagnant people like some of the commanders. I think we do all agree that he was very stagnant pre-time skip. Maybe now at best he's getting a little bit better, just in terms of cooperation, being part of the Straw Hats. But other than that, he's very he is where he is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
See, like in a vacuum, if like they didn't have similar feats and things like that, if you're just arguing them based on their merits, like I would understand the idea that like he's been around, he's had more experience, he's fought more people, he's been a warlord, whereas what was his name? Yamato's been kind of like stuck on the island and things like that. I think you could argue that he should be stronger, but at the end of the day, from what I've seen,
I've got him above.
She's probably gotten better. Yeah, no, but like at the end of the day, like it seems like they're equal in terms of their fight against Ace, and then she's had a couple years to develop. So I think what I would say is like, while he might have had like more worldly experience and things like that, she's just like has a better talent. She's just stronger. She's just
See,
better.
how I see it is in terms of like offensive
Did.
power, they're very similar. Jinbei with his like fisherman karate and water punches, Yamato with their projectile like mace attacks. They both sort of can block Luffy and Ace, so they're on that sort of like reasonable arm and haki level. The edge I give to Jinbei isn't just the skill though; it's skill and the fact that he's got the benefit of being able to use like water and be, you know, alive in water and swim, but the fact that he's got ridiculous durability feats. The dude took the same attack that killed Ace and just got up and screamed like it hurt, but he got up from that and he was clean.
Yeah. So I would
Yeah.
I would say two arguments would be he's got more use in water, like not just with water but actually in water, which makes him like not necessarily better in a 1v1 on land, but as an overall character potentially better. And then he's that's true, we haven't seen a durability difference, so I would actually probably assume Jinbei is more durable.
I mean,
So that
Yamato's
might
popped
put my mind there.
cannonballs, but Jinbei has taken magma fists to the hands and through the gut and just
Yeah.
gets back up like he's
that
the
is
OG
true.
sumo of One Piece.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why for me, because as I said, I've got Yamato in my top 30. That's why Jinbei's actually higher on my list than where you've put him, because I've tried to keep that benchmark going. Because the durability of the guy's almost stupid. Like, he, time and time again, has escaped, like even Whole Cake, moments where we're like, he's dead. That's a shame. And then he's up in the next panel and you're like, oh, rightio, we're still going. It's just, you're like, oh, it's dead. That's a shame. Rest in peace, Jinbei. But he gets up. So
Yeah.
I would completely agree with all that's just been said.
Daniel, who's your 43?
I think Jinbei is now stronger in my mind because of this conversation.
Yeah? No, that's good. That's the kind of impact that I
Sure.
want to have. And honestly, I feel bad
my
putting him at
43.
43. Having Jinbei at 43 because like with those feats, part of you wants to elevate him a lot higher, but at the same point in time, because of that stagnation, I can't.
Yeah. My 43 is Vista. I don't really know any way to power scale Vista. I just think he's pretty strong, and thought I'd put
I
him there.
can offer something for you. I will let the spoil slide. I've actually got Vista over Zoro and people like that. And the only reason that I have is he fought evenly with Mihawk. So for me, I then have to be like, well, if he fought evenly with Mihawk and I put him underneath the likes of Zoro and etc., then am I saying then that Zoro's already, you know what I mean? Because if you look in Marineford, he clashed evenly. It was made a point to be shown that. And so if I were to put him lower than Zoro, it does not sit well in my soul. Does that make sense?
I understand that logic. I come to the flip conclusion personally. Not that I'm saying that the way you have it's wrong, but the way I
You're wrong, yeah.
the way I see it is Vista was fighting reasonably evenly with Mihawk. And the way I see Zoro at the moment in the story is he's got sort of 3 major fights left, best, in terms of length of the story, before he's got to take Mihawk's title, realistically. So there can't be a huge difference with when Zoro is now in Mihawk, same as Vista, if that makes sense. And so, because of that, I see Vista now more like a pre-time skip, post-time skip Zoro having fought in Marineford, if that makes sense. Like, Zoro bandanaed up, throwing his projectile slashes, running around, doing his thing, trying to just interrupt people on that. Not necessarily, like, having a tremendous showcasing, but just having a really consistent showcasing of not just being overwhelmed and just being able to do stuff and do stuff reasonably well and fought through.
That makes me re-examine my list a little bit, but it also makes me defensive at the same time. And I kind of like that duality. So for me, I didn't even consider it that way in the sense that the show's, when I say the show's wrapping up, we all know how many, it's got a couple more years on it. You know what I mean? It's not ending next week.
It's in the end game, though.
Yeah, and so I guess for me, I didn't even think about considering it that way because, again, a bit of a spoiler, Mihawk's in my top 20, Zoro isn't even in my top 30.
Mm.
So, but Vista and Zoro are actually quite close together. So I think that even though they clashed equally, I have to put Mihawk high because I also then look at it as you do. We're approaching the end series, but I also look at it as we're approaching end series. For Zoro to be on the King of the Pirate crew and to be the world's best swordsman, that's got to be up there in rank. Mihawk has to be so high up, and there has to be still a gap because of the story chunk that's left for that to be a respectable title. And I just don't know. I think Zoro's approaching there, but I just can't agree that he's been climbing the ladder that much. Like Mihawk, again, my top 10, but but just the status as well. Purely demonstrational and status, and Zoro will need to be top 10 in the end of the series for he to be the King of the Pirates, side man. And I just don't think that Zoro's near there yet. And I think people overscale him because of his hype, unfortunately.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Um,
I would like to wait a little bit until we see where you put Vista before talk too much about Vista.
yeah.
That's fine.
I don't know how high you rank him,
Yeah,
that being said,
that's fine.
Glitter, who's your 43? Who was that? Your mic's cutting out again. I can hear you though, barely.
Oh, sorry, it's Cracker.
There we go.
Ah.
Cracker at there. I don't really have a problem with that. That's
I don't have any problems.
pretty
And
reasonable.
I think that between that 40 to 50 period of time it seems like people like, Jack and Cracker, they seem to have a pretty consistent standing for all of us. So that's not too bad.
This this might be where I get some heat. Coming in at 42, I have Mr. Funk himself, Queen.
No.
And I agree that he's stronger than everyone that you've listed so far, but I'm not sure about people that are above him, maybe.
Yeah,
So
no, that's
I
fair.
can't really argue.
To me, Queen, physically, reasonably strong, being an ancient zone and that. The way I rank Queen in here as well is, I presume he has biochemical weapons with him, if that makes sense. Seeing as how it seems to be that Queen sort of swaps up from being like wrestler-based combatant to a swordsman to a sort of tear gas, poison sort of all-around combatant. In terms of Queen as an individual, I can't really say anything special's been shown with him outside of like bioweapons. Like, I give him the respect of the position of being a second commander. I give him reasonable respect on the bounty, but he's just not necessarily showcased being great. He's sort of made a fair few fumbles and just been in the right place at the right time for a few things.
I agree. I sincerely wish I didn't rank him as high as I have, which is in my top 30, because I think of the people that I've seen. For me, Queen is hugely underwhelming. I won't say the same thing about King. I actually ideally would have wished I was as brave as you to put him lower, because I just feel like Queen had so much potential and it's been not like hugely, but it's just it has been a bit underwhelming considering the showcases of other characters and what we would expect from Kaido's crew, I guess. I expected more, I guess, and maybe that's my problem. That's not a narrative problem, but I guess I expected more from Kaido's crew, you know what I mean? Like and I think King largely brings that to the party in some instances, but for Queen I just felt, I don't know what it was.
Daniel, who's your 42?
My 42 is Ivankov. That's where I put him.
Ooh.
42 Ivankov. Oh yeah, it's the same. We put him in the exact same spot.
I like the Ivankov respect. You got Ivankov at 42 too?
shot. Take a shot.
You take a shot.
Perfect. All right. No.
By the time we get to like the top 10,
That
we're
was
just
good.
getting wasted.
Yeah. Nah. I like the respect being given to Ivankov here because Ivankov's one of those people that's always really hard to sort of scale because being a specific gag character in a lot of situations causes a lot of downplay of the character in competitive and serious situations. Like, I feel like a lot of people forget
What happens to
Ivankov
Bawa?
took just a point blank magma fist to the face and got up. It wasn't insanely fine, but was relatively okay as well. You know what I mean? Like, it was played off for laughs.
Joke
but
about it, nearly.
Ivankov doesn't get nearly enough love as they should. Honestly feel a little bit disrespectful for who I've got above Ivankov coming up, but as for the
Yeah,
moment,
same.
I'm happy to see Ivankov making the rounds. At 41, above Queen, and I felt bad that I've got this person above Jimbei in a way, but that was who I was flicking back and forth about before. This is Killer, coming in at 41.
Oops.
Killer, to me, when Killer fought Zoro, they were dead even. I know people are going to be like, Zoro won that fight. I mean, a nerfed Zoro and a nerfed Killer fought. A nerfed Killer and a nerfed Zoro both got hits on each other that caused a one-shot to happen. Both of them have gotten better and potentially powered up since then, but Zoro's just had a better power-up. So, as for the moment, I do have Zoro higher up on this list. As for Killer, personally, Killer versus Queen is probably a better scenario to argue here. Seeing his decapitation slicer in the last chapter and actually making an indent into Kaido's neck, even though he wasn't able to cut him, if Queen copped that, I honestly feel like Queen's head might have come off.
I've actually got Killer higher, so I know the feeling of feeling like I'm being disrespectful because there's like 2 impending characters I've got on my list under Killer that's making me sweat a little bit.
Well,
But I
I don't have Killer on my list at all, but that was more because I was thinking who could possibly be in the top 30, and when I thought of Killer, I was like, nah.
Yeah.
So, he's just not there whatsoever. I don't have any problem with it. Everyone that I see under Killer is worse than Killer in my opinion. So, I'm cool for now.
The 2 biggest ones for me under that were probably Jimbei and X-Drake. To me personally, like for ranking them, because Killer is so hard to rank because he's
what we mostly see of him is what actually unfortunately happens.
He's Zoro light. You know, like
Yeah.
he's Zoro's. He's the Pepsi to Zoro's Coke. Daniel, you're number 41. Who you shooting off?
My number 41 is Jimbei.
Jimbei, nice. Jimbei above Ivankov, that's not out of the realm of possibilities. Jimbei above Vista, that's pretty fair because Vista's a 5th commander. Jimbei was fighting Ace, who's a 2nd. Same with Crack. I have no problem with Jimbei being there.
Alrighty.
Glitter, who's your 41?
Okay, so this is where I'm gonna ruffle a few feathers, I think, because I've actually put Magellan.
Ooh.
Oh,
Because-
Magellan is a beast.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually getting sweaty hands just thinking about what I've just said. I'm not necessarily okay with this. I'm not necessarily okay with it. I just think for me, the way my brain works, and it might not be working fantastically. I mean, as Supernova knows, I can barely count to 10 sometimes. In terms of narratively, he almost has to come under the other people I've put.
Okay. I
But
think
whether,
we'll wait.
yeah,
We'll
I
wait,
don't know.
and then we'll just roast you on every person.
I
I'm gonna get roasted by Daniel. I've already come today knowing I'm gonna have a fight with Daniel, so that's
Hey,
fine.
in fairness, I think Raju could actually beat Magellan.
I was just about to say
Well,
I put
that's what I
everyone
said,
under
that's a bad-
Magellan in a losing
Yeah.
situation except for Rage, solely based off ability.
The only reason is because of ability, and I didn't think that was a fair enough reason to put her over Magellan. I just think that's a bit of a bad matchup for Magellan, because obvious reasons.
So we've hit the 40 to 30 range. I'm gonna say we're gonna do 2 at a time for this little period.
Okay.
So we're gonna do 40 and 39. My 40 is the only Flower Sword Vista. Not too different to where you've got him, Daniel. I've only got him like a couple places higher. Big difference that we've got, I think, is that I've got Vista just above Jinbei.
I get roasted.
It is what it is. Coming in though, and this might be where I get roasted, above Vista at 39, I have the third son of the Vinsmoke family, Sanji, and his beautiful, beautiful suit.
Happy?
I've got him
Ooh,
higher.
happy. Okay, I'm good. If no one's taking shots at that, I'm happy too.
Oh no! Oh no, God.
All right, Daniel.
You know what? I would say Killer versus Sanji is a little bit up in the air.
The reason I give it to Sanji, personally, is because
I don't know how to power skill Vista, so really, I just don't know.
At this point in time, I see Enma Zoro over Killer. But I see Enma Zoro just surpassing Raid Suit Sanji as well. Whereas without Enma, I put Sanji over Zoro. And I feel like that's what the gag was being based off there. So at this point, originally when I made the list, I went, I had Killer above Sanji, and then I looked at it and I went, well, that doesn't really make sense to me if Zoro's had a power up to surpass Sanji, if I'm putting a nerfed, like a better showcasing from a nerfed character over him, when I'm only putting him over him with a power up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
Okay.
I think Killer beats Sanji, but I think we could probably go back and forth for like ever. There's not any like specific way that I can like definitely say he does. So let's just not even.
The big thing at the moment, I'd say, is the raid suit, and in the anime as well, the raid suit having an ability that stops motion. So the cape itself, when used as a shield, nullifies motion. So as a swordsman cutting his cape, it would just impact and absorb all the impact, theoretically, from what we've seen at the moment. And I know that's anime only, but like just having more stuff like that potentially can come out from the suit, it does leave a lot more wiggle room for me, if that makes sense.
That's
and
true.
It's a high diff fight, right? It's just a high diff fight where I'm just come on, just slide out that little bit more. Daniel, you're 40 and 39.
Okay, my 40 is Sanji.
Hey.
And my 39 is Yasop.
Ooh, okay.
It's a big diff.
yeah.
No
It
wonder-
There's a big difference.
No wonder you were getting a little on the
defensive.
defensive when we were putting him down on the 50s.
Exactly, my
Hello.
boy Yasop. He can shoot
You were like,
an ant from across town.
Alright, well, I'm gonna get roasted.
What's an ant to a guy that can shoot birds across islands and skylines?
Yeah, but he can shoot an ant specifically between the eyes from across the island, which is over mountains and stuff, right?
Fair.
I would put his long range around the same level as Van Orga and around the same level as Usopp's potential, like seeing what he did at Dressrosa, how he like shot and threaded the needle with the bouncing bullet that he made.
Just them and their
I would
sniper
say-
class as a general.
He's quite good at the sniping. I just think he's like more of a high tier being in general, being one of like the stronger or at least more shown people on Shanks's crew. I think he's
Look,
pretty good.
I have no problem
Hey,
with
there's
him being
not
this
really
high.
any
No, no, no,
definite.
that's fair. We'll
Yeah,
just
there's
leave
not
it
really
at
any
that. We can't
definite.
really discuss it. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no like he's fought this person and lost, so how can you put him there?
The
There's
only
not really
reason
been
I
anything.
even had him as low as I did is because I just felt like the sniper class as a general is sort of a lesser class in the world of One Piece at the moment. That
Yeah,
might
I
be me
don't agree with
sleeping
that.
on it, but
It'll
like,
pay off later. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it definitely
I
could
do,
turn around.
however, have people like Lucky Roo significantly higher. So
I do as
Ooh, yeah.
well. So I.
All right.
Oh God.
Glitter,
Okay.
40 and 39.
Right. Okay. I know I'm gonna get roasted. I don't think there's I don't think there's feasibly a way I'm gonna come out of this without somebody coming at me. But as I said, my 40 to 50, she'd be messy. Okay. So at
Yep.
40, I had the one and only King of Lightning, Enel.
Ooh.
forgot about him
And
too.
my 30
Mr. Sparkles.
I'm so bad at this. Holy shit, I'm so bad.
and my number 39 is Killer.
Killer of an L. Interesting. Is it because of the whole projectile sword slash stuff of
Yeah, so again, because I realized that Magellan caused a bit of a stir, but as I said, Killer up on my list, I feel like they have to be above him to be like he's on the roof, like not to make that a benchmark of story, but people from here up almost have to have a certain level about them to be at this end game. So for me, as cringy as I feel, maybe putting people like Enel, who were compared to a god, and Magellan so low, but I feel like narratively they should be. Even if it, because looking back on it, Magellan was a weapon,
Yeah.
but that was before the gigantic
Well-
jump. So would I still feel that way if I saw him in action amongst the current characters? You know what I mean? So
can
that's
I
what I came at it.
Yeah, right. Can I clarify, is NL current in the series what you think he would be, or is it back when we saw him in Skypiea?
There'd be some slight. I think there'd be slight for me journey there. I don't think it would be massive of a difference. But I would say maybe a little bit more powerful than first display. And I feel like the Straw Hats didn't. Now this is going to sound really, really controversial, but they didn't really beat him, and it was just a bad matchup for him with Luffy.
Yeah,
Like
they
he
would've
kind of
got
just,
stomped
he just kind of
completely.
just went, eh. Like he just
mean-
didn't care. Like he just didn't care. You know what I mean? Like he didn't
Yeah.
care enough.
if NL gets
So,
Armament Haki, like even now it's sort of just like, ugh. He's
Yeah, no,
beating
it's
a
kinda
lot of
scary.
people with a lot of little effort.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
that's
why-
kind of what
yeah.
I mean. He seemed to have like the Skypian version of Haki. And then going to the moon, you don't kind of know what sort of knowledge they have or if they have any at all. So it is possible that he's done nothing, or it's possible that he's come down with, he's now at least got like base level Haki. Maybe even, who knows, maybe there's going to be a little mini arc where he comes down and he's actually like Luffy's match or something, and they fight again.
I mean,
but
yeah,
in like a
I had
movie.
to put him on the top 50 for showing,
Yeah.
and also because I think we get almost a negative impression of Enel because, again, maybe a bit controversial. Plot armor dictated the Straw Hats had to win there,
Yeah,
but I
definitely.
don't necessarily think that was.
No.
Yeah, so that was my little red
Well-
hot take.
I think, honestly, I think you could put 5 more Zoros on that crew instead of Luffy, and the whole Straw Hat crew would have gotten wiped by him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone was anywhere close to him.
All right,
So that's why he's in my top 40.
coming in at 38, we have Roanoa D Zoro. At 37, above Zoro. Actually, have you got a list of my list so far? Like, can you see my list so far, or do you know my list so
I'm
far?
watching your stream.
All right, perfect.
Oh my.
Coming in above Zoro. This might be more controversial, but this was cemented in my mind as of chapter 1001, when Zoro specifically said, "Oh, so that's the new Haki Luffy learned from Old Man Hio." Alright? That said to me that Zoro's version of Rio, the armament Haki on the swords and a little bit of projectile Haki when he's slashing, is not the same as Luffy's Rio. Meaning to me, Coming in at 37 for a clean win, we have Diamond Jozu. I don't think Zoro can beat Jozu at the moment just solely off the fact that he can't damage him. I can't say anyone below him on this list can really... I feel like everyone below Zoro on this list has a really hard time fighting Zoro, let alone getting through the defenses of Jozu. I mean, we had Jozu literally block Mihawk's slash with a face and then just throw it up like a suplex. In terms of speed feats, he was stated to be one of the faster, more agile characters. We saw him speed blitzing the like of Aokiji and Crocodile and Marineford, and even with one arm now, it hasn't really decreased his defense. Unless you are someone that just can negate the ability altogether, he's sort of at a reasonable standard there.
Okay. I haven't even got him on my list.
No, that's fair.
Didn't even think. I pulled a Daniel. Didn't even occur to me.
All I'm gonna say is, Sparkly Boy be strong.
He do be though. Oh, yeah.
All right,
okay.
Daniel.
I don't know. I think it very, very, very heavily depends on his haki because I mean he's 4th division, I guess technically 3rd.
3rd division.
Yeah. He's 3rd. I don't know. The thing is that I can't see somebody who can turn their skin into diamond caring that much about and haki. And so I don't see him having much more offensive capabilities than his just physical strength.
He doesn't necessarily need to have super arm and haki because the fruit can carry. But he has arm and haki since we saw him make our Kiji spit blood. We know he's got observation as well from the Viva card, I'm pretty sure. So, just having arm and haki on top of ridiculous defenses, to me, is sort of the same thing that Cracker has, but Jozu just has a higher tier. Like, for me, a lot of the Whitebeard Pirates have the same abilities that other strong Yongo crew members have, but just the higher evolution of.
Okay. Honestly, I don't see a way to argue Zoro over Jozu until Zoro gets to a point where he's like well above 1st division. You're just like, bro, he just is stronger.
Yeah.
I don't really see a reason to argue it because I don't know an easy strategy that he can just dump on the diamond. He'll just do this and get through the diamond. So I don't think there's really a way to argue Zoro versus Jozu until Zoro gets to a point where he's like easily handling a 1st division. Then you just say, but he's just way stronger though. So yeah, I can't really argue it. I think Zoro's higher.
You're 38 and 37, Daniel.
My 38 is Yamato. And my 37 is Queen.
Okay.
I'm not even going to comment on that. I think that's reasonable.
Look,
Yamato placement?
we have
Yamato quite a bit
nothing to
higher.
say on that one.
I
do have Yamato high, but I can feel you.
We have them in the same combination. It's just I've got them dropped down by like 5, if that.
Yeah, right.
Glitter, 38 and 37.
Instead of speeding it up a little bit to get to the top 30, because that's where the juice is. The 30 to 50 is not. That's the shakiest part. In the spirit of moving it along, I actually need to say my 37, 38, and 36 in tandem.
Okay. Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So at 38, I have my boy, Sanji.
Okay.
At 37, I have Jinbei.
Ooh, okay.
And at 36, I have Zoro.
Okay, the straw hat heavy hitters coming in back to back to back. I'm not angry with it. I just feel like Sanji and Zoro have more. Sanji and Zoro at the moment are being carried by their technology in a way. That's what's carrying them past.
I feel
Jinbei's stagnation.
After Wano, I will not feel the same way about Zoro and Sanji. I won't. I just think the characters that I've put above them, for me, either bounty, title, rank, display, I physically have to. Even though it kills me, I love my boy Sanji. All the rest of it, I just feel like for now, that's where I'm going to put them and defend that decision in the spirit of getting to the top 30, unless someone has some big beef with it.
I have no big beef
I
with
think it's
it,
fine.
but there is potential beef coming with what's coming up on mine. At 36, I have Law. At 35, I have Kuma.
Okay.
Law's biggest
I'm gonna
weakness is
till the-
speed. Kuma is one of the fastest characters we've seen in the series. Off the bat, in terms of durability, he's partially metal. You know what I mean? And it's hard because we don't know what Kuma's state is like. I'm imagining he's still like a pacifista at the moment with his devil fruit, but he's also like they can make him think more human if needed for a situation. If that's sort of not necessarily give him back his personality, but give him just like full control, like we saw him at Thriller Bark. So I'm sort of using like a Thriller Bark Kuma at the moment for this sort of representation.
Did you put
Yep.
Lord then Kuma, or which way around did you just put
I
it?
put
Kuma than Law.
no, I put Law then Kuma, so I got Kuma above Law. Law to me,
And then who's above Kuma? Can I just ask? Just so I can get that picture that you're painting for me here.
I'll
Who's
I'll
the
give-
next one above?
I'll give that next. We'll just quickly
Okay.
go through, get all of us up to the 35, and then we'll just start pumping them a bit more from there.
Okay, too
Daniel, you're 36 and 35.
Yeah. 36 is Smoothie. 35 is Jozu.
Ooh,
Oh, I'm
again,
sorry,
we
I
don't
did
have
that, Jozu.
Jozu that far apart.
The sweat.
I like it. Glitter, you're 35.
Azora is yet to
Law.
come.
Law. Ooh, Law's making the rounds. I always want Law higher, but it is what it is. Alright. I say we, in the faith of moving things along, do groupings of 3 now. Are you all happy with that?
Only defend it if there's beef. If there's agreement, then that's
We'll
fine.
discuss more after as
The
we've
tape,
got
yeah.
the whole list out and we can go through for the amendments and argue a bit more through there. And I'm sure if something controversial is said, someone will obviously chime in. At 34, above everyone on this list so far, I have the current Vice Warden of Impel Down, Magellan. Above Magellan,
Meh.
we have the God himself, NL. And above NL,
And I wish I put him in.
coming
Missed him.
coming in for a sly, stealthy win, we have what constitutes a benchmark for what top tier New World fighter is. He is the like all round best player of the year. We have the Heavenly Demon Doflamingo.
Oh, I've done my boy Dopey a bit
So
higher.
so the reason I've got Magellan and El Dofi, Magellan poisons everyone beneath this. I don't really feel like anyone can really sort of get out of the poison. NL electrocutes everyone beneath this. I feel like no one really can get out of that. They can hurt both of those people, but it doesn't really matter if you can hurt them if they can sort of just end you. With Doflamingo, Doflamingo is just a staple of a character. He has all 3 types of Haki. He has a Devil Fruit. He has an Awakened Devil Fruit. He's literally... He's got a healing factor if needed. He is the benchmark for what an average all-round fighter should be in the New World.
My only gripe was I would argue that Kuma could dance on NL. I don't necessarily think that NL is weaker than Kuma in general.
Hey, Kuma's got those metal parts now. Little bit of sparky
Paul
spark.
blocks anything. Paul blocks anything. He just puts his hand out, boom, the electricity's
They've
back
got to
there.
touch the pores though.
Disappears. Yeah, but as you've seen, like he literally can just hold his
Yeah.
hand out and it just blocks anything coming at him. Like
He-
I reckon he could block like laser beams and stuff.
Kuma is ridiculous, and like honestly, I'm not sure how a fight would go between them anyway. Just because Kuma sort of just pops in and out of existence.
I think he would. Yeah, that's the thing. I think he would He would be able to just stop the electricity, blink in front of NL, and then just palm him with better perception haki.
Still, just as an all-round fighter, I have to give it to NL more because NL's got more island-level destruction feats. The observation haki, even to this day, is sort of just ridiculous. Like, he's sort of comparable with Rayleigh and Katakuri in terms of his observation feats, and Fujitora. You know what I mean? It's like it's disgusting.
Probably put NL higher as well. Yeah.
All right, Daniel, you're 34 to 32.
Well, 34 is Kuma.
Kuma making the rounds. Nice.
33 is Law, and 32 is Dofi.
Ooh, Dofi coming in at 32. Time for a shot.
Boy.
All right.
So, here's the thing. I think Dofi could beat anyone below him. I think he should be higher, but I honestly think my top 30 list could take any of your top 30 list.
Ooh.
I think my top 30 list is very high tier, and Dofi just can't breach it.
Oof.
I'm not even going to fight this until we see the end of the list, because when we get to the top echelon of my list, the flexes will be real.
Actually, I know who you've left off, and I'm not even going to respect your top 30, Daniel. I'm just going to even put that out there now.
Yeah. Got some holes in that top 30.
You're gonna feel my wrath with your top 30. I may have admitted that my 30 to 50 is shaky, but your first place to 30 is shaky, Daniel.
All right. Glitter. 34, 33, 32. Who you got?
34. I have the beautiful boy Kid. At 33, I have Vista, and at 32, I have Rob Lucci.
Ooh. The Kid, the lower respect for the Kid there hurts my soul. Yeah. I can't even fight it. Though. That's the worst part. He's got nothing. Like,
I was hoping that he had Rio, and then he was like, "What's that?" And I was like,
Didn't even show Armin hakiing up his medal. And I know it's too early to give credit for that yet, but I can't even fight it yet. You know what I mean? All I'd be doing is going, you watch, he's gonna come out one day, my boy Kid.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
Alright.
Okay, well, I mean, here's the Vista thing. Let's do Vista later. I don't want to do Vista yet.
I don't want to have this fight. I'm gearing up for top 30. I'm ready to fight another battle.
Everyone said Vista now. Yeah. Everyone said Vista now, and we've all got him spaced about the same, same gapping apart. Just on all different lists. So I find that funny. Moving on to my 30 and 31 are interchangeable. There is literally no reason why I have one over the other. That being said, this is going to be just the beginning of speculative areas here, because I feel like
I'm ready to go.
I feel like the 30 mark is the benchmark for me for these characters. And so at 31, I have Chatten, and 30, I have Momoshiki. I feel like the top 30 is the Admiral candidate range, if that makes sense. Like, if you were in the Marines and you were in the top 30, like, in the world, that's where they're going, like, alright, if we need to fill the role of an Admiral, do we consider this person, you know what I mean? I can't justify having them any higher than what they are on the list right now, but I feel like it's pretty respectable to say that they have to be this high if they're being considered for that position. It's just the people above them, I feel like, can hold their own a hell of a lot more confidently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I left them both off because I just personally don't like them. Because I don't like the idea of them just like... I just don't like the idea of them just being like, oh, you know, there's these two people that are nearly as strong as an Admiral, so that's it. And
yeah, I've got problems with that as well, but I was told to. I was told to just...
So, I just don't like them, and I just don't want to put them anywhere because I'm always going to be biased against them, so I'm always going to want to put them really low. My thing is, like, do they not have fruits, right? So do they have fruits and are almost as strong as an Admiral, or do they not have fruits, and if they got, like, the lava fruit, they would become Admiral level?
See...
Because there's a massive difference.
I was having this conversation earlier today because I felt like So for me, it's and I made a likeness to Fairy Tale, which is like the guild master at one point is run by just this like dad who's got no skill, and then on the flip side is sometimes hosted by one of the most powerful characters in that sphere. So I'm like, the title, it just means that the quality level could have dropped for me. I'm like, it doesn't mean that I should be considering these two people like I did, the Kizaru, Aokiji, Akainu route. But yeah, so I don't know about them either.
Well,
I wouldn't. There's no hate if you've left them out. Something like that.
Coming in at the benchmark just above them, I have the second weakest second division commander in Smoothie.
How about
that? I think Zoro could wreck Smoothie. I think Law could wreck Smoothie. I think Kuma could wreck Smoothie.
You think Kuma could wreck Smoothie?
Yes, I think Kuma could two-shot Smoothie.
Well, as far as I'm seeing, he doesn't look like he's in the best shape of the current. So
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
I
was more thinking. Oh yeah, I was more thinking time skip Kuma. I don't know. I just Jade, I'm pretty sure you're muted, by the way. You just to me?
Oh, I can't hear him.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you're gonna say that Zoro wrecks? Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Zoro beats Smoothie. Just she's got cool projectile slashes, but he can probably beat her in swordsmanship. He seems about first division commander-ish level now. I put Zoro higher than both of you, hence why he's not on my list yet. So obviously, I think he's stronger.
Hello?
Hey, Jack. Hey, we can hear you.
I don't know what happened then. The mic just decided to stop working all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It was appalled by what Daniel had said.
Yeah, no, the mic crashed because it could just hear my defense, like, just muttering up.
Pulling about.
I think if unless Smoothie can literally touch something and smoothie it, as long as she has to actually rinse it, I think NL could wreck Smoothie.
Okay. The argument though to me is Smoothie as well has ranged fighting techniques, and out of the big mum pirates, right? She's not a thinker, so she's more of a fighter. What we saw of her,
not smart.
What we saw of her, she wasn't quite doing Elbaf spears, but she was doing like massive, long, wide projectile slashes at the Straw Hat Pirates. And if it wasn't for Jinbe there, she was one-shotting the Sunny. She was just cutting it in half clean. She's just she's got large output, and the fact that her ability doesn't just let her juice anyone she touches or negate poison, she's also got the ability to increase in size and strength, like exponentially. To me, I understand that you might see individuals below her on this list beat her, but I feel like overall she is just a stronger fighter, even though she still hasn't been really greatly showcased. I
think the big thing is that you don't know how strong she is at base. You don't know how strong she is when you don't know if she's going base Luffy to Gear 4 Luffy level of difference, or if it's just you know what I mean? Because her base strength could just be fairly weak, but she goes into the big form and now she's really strong. And that's what puts her at second division commander level. If you
didn't really have a problem with me putting Magellan where I put him, right? In terms of a fight with Smoothie and Magellan, she can counter most of the poison by juicing it off her, and she's also doing projectile slashes that are hitting him from range and going through his poison. So I think she's around that tier.
Magellan mostly because Magellan just isn't a fighter, and if he can't just poison you and then you're wrecked, for example, I think Smoothie could probably just send a wave through Magellan's poison and then just cut him in half. He's not going to be quick enough to super agilely dodge and then fight her properly. I just think he'll be better. I think as long as you can get around Magellan's poison, you're probably going to beat him
because of the fruit's ability to juice inanimate objects as well. I also see her potentially being able to break Doflamingo's strings. That's one of the reasons why I just slid her sort of where she is there in the second division range, because if she's able to break those strings as well, that's like being able to do that to something another Devil Fruit produces is a very useful thing that can come in handy more often than not, if that makes sense. Like if you could if you could juice Mr. Three's wax to break through his wax defenses to get him, that's very versatile and very handy, you know what I mean? Even if individuals, like, if you say Zoro beats her, that's fair enough, because Zoro is just all swordsmanship potency, but you put Zoro in a lot of situations having to go against different utility-based fighters, and he struggles terribly. Like, we saw how bad he struggled against Picker when, as soon as he got near Picker, he just one-shot him.
Yeah.
That being said, Daniel, you're 31 to 29.
Okay. My 31 is Boa Hancock. My 30 is Katakuri. My 29 is King.
Woo! I have to ask.
I'm saying,
Daniel.
the bottom of my top 30 is first division commander level.
Daniel, take your gloves off. We're going outside. What? Okay. So you already knew you were going to hurt my soul with Boa. You already know. But here's the thing. Why is Katakuri so low?
Exactly. So here's my thing already. Katakuri is directly above Boa, which is exactly what you said. So
I did say that. That's true. I do respect that.
Is the same. I just think my top 30 is just stronger than yours.
Okay.
Well, okay. I'm not gonna take it.
Let's get this to sort of the 20s and then reflective the 20s to the 30s. Okay. So
I'll just let it boil.
Glitter, you're 31 to 28. Or 29.
Okay, so I'm not proud of this part, but from here onwards, I'll be solid. So my 31 is Of the Rain Shiryu. My number 30 is my boy Doflamingo. And my 29 is Chatton.
Okay. So my 28 to 26 is not vastly different, but it is what it is. Coming in at 28, we have Lucky Roo. Coming in at 27, we have Rob Lucci, one of the higher ups of CP0. And at 26, coming in with a invisible slash, we have Shiryu of the Rain. No fighting with any of that? I'm good. Alright. Daniel, you're 28
Keeping
to
it
26.
in for the top 20.
Yeah, I think we need to push it up before we start fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to happen.
My 28, was it?
Yep, 28 to 26.
Is Lucky Roo.
Hey.
And my 27 is Magellan. And then my 26 is Shiryu.
Ooh. Okay, so we're doing 2 shots, are we? Look, at least we've got a sort of a consensus there of around where Shiryu is. He's around the low 20s.
The only reason that I put Lucky Roo below Magellan, and as a matter of fact, it's really hard. So I think overall, like, Kuru's probably like generally a better fighter. I just think Magellan can just like wreck so many people.
Yeah,
I think Lucky Roo has a better chance against the top tiers, but I think Magellan can easily handle way more lower tiers.
Yeah, that's fair. He's crowd control by any stretch of the means.
Yeah, that's a cool way of putting that.
Alright, Glitter, you're 28.
At 28, I have Mamasagi.
You're 27.
Yamato.
Whew.
And my 26 is Smoothie.
Oi! I know we've had this argument in the past where you
I hate
Yamato
that
was
I've
over
done
Smoothie.
it. I hate that I've done it. I still don't agree with it. I've got a little note here that says interchangeable, but that's where I've just left it.
Fair.
That's right.
All right. Do we want to do 5 then? We'll go from 25 to 20 here, and just do a big splat,
Okay,
and then
yeah,
go back
just,
and have the
just
conversation.
wing it off. Yeah, and
Alright,
then
let's
and
just
then we'll
wing it
fight
off.
about it. I'm really keen to have a fight because
Coming in at 25, I have the Winged Beast King.
Oh.
Above King, we have the Empress and second strongest girl in the series, Boa Hancock. Coming in above Boa, we have Katakuri with a, reasonable respect.
Okay.
Above Katakuri, I have Edward Weevil.
Okay.
Coming in above
Okay.
Weevil with a filthy win, we have Ben Beckman. And then my number 20, which sort of begins to close off this range, we have Marco the Phoenix.
Okay.
Alright. Daniel, you're 25 and up.
My 25. Zoro.
Okay.
You got 3 swords in your mouth.
My 24 is Marco the Phoenix.
I'm surprised you've got him that low. That's a shock.
I love Marco.
I'm the one that has Marco the higher.
But it's
That's
because the 23 is Weevil.
Us.
20. Okay, wait. I just got to stop for 1 second. Marco versus Weevil. Weevil was stomping over all of the Whitebeard pirates, and he was very, very confidently just hunting them down like it was no big deal. Like no single Whitebeard pirate that he'd ever fought even really posed much of a threat. There was no, oh, can I really beat Marco? The other guys I've been fighting have been pretty strong, and he's meant to be their leader. There was none of that. It was just, oh yeah, cool, let's go crush Marco. There was like literally no effort.
I
He's
have...
not bright, and he's being led by his mother, though, I'd argue.
I
don't think there is foresight for that.
I have no qualms with that. The only thing is Marco's healing factor is just actually so difficult
Keep
to
going.
get around.
We'll fight
for
in a
me.
sec.
Okay, 22. Have I said 22? Is Tsuru. This is my
Ooh.
funny meme one.
Ooh.
Mm.
Putting the rest of the kids underneath out to dry. All right.
Tell you
21.
what, anyone blower? It's a wash.
Hey, I love that. I love that.
Okay, 21 is Kid. And actually, I'm starting to doubt that one.
Yeah, I know. Kid.
Okay.
I have Kid higher up on my list, and now I'm just like looking at it, just like you're there until you do something to put you lower. There's no going
I
higher
haven't
now.
edited this since we found out he doesn't have Ryu, but hey. 20 is Ben Beckman.
Benny Beckman. Interesting.
Benny boy.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right, Glitter, you're 25 and up.
My 25, I've spoken about how I hate this. I wish I'd put this character lower. Wish I had the courage to do so, but at 25, I have Queen. At 24, I have Lucky Roo. At 23, I have Weevil. At 22, I have King.
Ooh.
And here's where I'm about to get my roast. At 21, I have protagonist of the series, Monkey D. Luffy.
Ooh.
Not cracking the top 20. Them's
No,
fighting
because
words.
at 20, I give the title to Katakuri and Boa Hancock.
Katakuri and then
And
Boa at
Boa.
19.
Ooh.
No. No. I mean, Boa is almost like 21 and a half. Like, she is just under Katakuri, but I believed it would be a robbery to not have her mentioned.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? Like, have in there.
I'll
But,
slice her in there as Boa / Cat.
Yeah.
No more slashes from here on up. Just give me single
okay.
individuals.
Yeah, there is no more slashes. It's just here. This is, because as I believe Boa's Katakuri level. I think there's some disrespect for her. Mad disrespect, as demonstrated in this chat. But I don't think she's taking Katakuri.
I'm saying, alright. Alright. So, going from
Hey.
30 to 20.
I need clarification. Is Luffy current Luffy with Ryu?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. See, the thing is, I haven't really thought too much about Rio Luffy, only because I want to see more. I think there's no problem that he's gonna crack in the top 20 when I see a little bit more. But right now, how I feel, as of the recent chapter, I'm just gonna have to put Katakuri still above him. Because I personally am one of those people that don't actually believe that he won the fight between Katakuri and himself. I think Katakuri gave up. So yeah, that's how I feel.
Alright. I don't know how to feel. I don't even have like anger or any like
Tilted.
yeah. I can't even look at your list, Daniel. All I can see is just Luffy just not cracking the top 20 and it hurts. It just it feels like the nostalgia of seeing chapter 1000 and 1001 just walk in the opposite direction and just leave.
I just can't. You can't put. Surely you cannot put Luffy higher at the moment.
It's like
okay, so here's how big my difference between your Luffy and my Luffy is. My Luffy, when he fought Katakuri, by the end of the fight, he was stronger than Katakuri. Like if they fought again, it wouldn't just be like if they fought again, he'd eventually get a bit stronger and then he'd win. Like no, he would just win from the start. He would just be better than Katakuri. And then I think current Luffy with Ryoyu could probably fight 2 of that Luffy.
nah, I can't do that. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay.
I can't give it that.
Think of this. Think of this. Okay? Can you imagine, right? A Luffy clashing fists with Ryu versus normal Luffy who couldn't even punch Katakuri's hand. Literally, he would be splitting blood out of his arms on every fist clash.
I think, but what's weird is in the beginning of this thing, you were like, oh, Rio might be just something that can just hit them, and then now you've made it the difference between whether Luffy could literally one-shot himself.
Look,
it's
So I'm like,
not one shot. It's like every fist clash, he's damaging him because there's literally force rupturing inside of his arms. Like you're literally rupturing his like blood vessels and muscles and stuff like that.
I would definitely say
personally
Rio
just-
Luffy decimates a non-Rio Luffy, but Rio Luffy versus
yeah.
2 non-Rio
Okay,
Luffys.
what do you think is the difference between somebody getting one shot, like doing no damage and then getting one shot against a Yonko versus someone who dodges the Yonko and then smacks him in the face and pegs him into the ground?
So
Damage.
still, even if I was like, because I concede yours, I probably have done Luffy a little bit of a dirty by waiting to see what more Rio from him. I can concede that completely. But surely, even with Rio, Luffy isn't seriously cracking anybody here currently's top, 16 area in comparison to other pre-existing characters that are still out there.
You're wrong.
Oh, Daniel, no!
This man has future sight, conquers
It
Haki.
doesn't matter! It don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, wait.
Oh,
Here's the thing, right?
yeah.
Pretty much. When we were watching the Whole Cake arc, I remember Jade and I saying to each other that Big Mom could potentially even one-shot Katakuri. That's how higher of a level a Yonko is than a First Division commander, right?
Agree. Yeah.
Being able to
I agree.
literally one-shot someone is way more than double as strong as them, right? And
Okay.
more than twice the strength. So even if Luffy currently, fighting Kaido, was twice the strength of Katakuri versus Luffy, he's still not as strong as a Yonko. Because I'm not saying he would one-shot himself. I'm saying he would just beat 2 of himself. Right?
I'll feel
So
about
I'm
that
literally
argument.
putting
So I'm
him
not
on
gonna...
Yonko level. I'm putting him below Yonko level, but still able to beat 2 of himself.
I want to zero in on your list for 24 and 23. You've got Weevil over Marco. I don't necessarily dislike the idea, but I just feel like Marco's healing factor puts him at the pinnacle of a first commander to me.
For a reason. That's how I feel.
My main argument is he was hunting Whitebeard pirates, which to me, honestly, the difference between Marco and the rest of the Whitebeard pirates, I think, the other Whitebeard pirates aren't that impressive compared to Marco.
Well, okay.
But it's not that he was hunting Whitebeard pirates and winning, because it's fair enough, but then, he's fighting Marco, so really an argument. It's more that he was hunting them and winning seemingly so easily that it was more of like a fetch quest for him. It was just
Okay,
like, go here, kill this dude, go here, kill this dude. It
they
wasn't even like I'm gonna challenge them.
they were the allied captains though, so that's like Kid going around, right? And then you just hear, oh my god, Sai got taken out by Kid, no difficulty. Oh my god, Leo's been crushed by Eustace Kid. Like, I will give the Whitebeard Pirates a lot more props for that, like the allied captains and that. But still, like, we don't have any, like, we haven't heard any, like, Jozu being taken out. We haven't heard any Vista being taken out. I mean, the fact that Izo's still up and kicking, I agree, because the longer Weevil, and I've got Weevil like right near where you do as well anyway, because it's just like, to me, Weevil has been left so late in the story that it's impossible for him to not come in and just make a storm, right? The dude is an absolute monster. We're being told time and time again, this is young or prime Whitebeard that we're seeing here just going around decimating, and that's fair. But at the same time, I'm like, Marco's got that healing factor that just literally keeps him in the game.
Yeah. I've got two other points. One is strong characters in the series never recognize characters beneath them unless they are quite close to them, or at least like significantly powerful in some way. Luffy never gets recognized by a Yonko. Even when he's like hurting Yonko now, he's not getting recognized. When he first started fighting Cat, he wasn't really recognized as a challenge, etc., etc., etc. People don't tend to get recognized unless they're quite, like, genuinely quite powerful. And Kizaru gave Weevil mad props, like mad props. That's an admiral being not scared as in like he could beat me, but like
Being
scared
honest,
as in like
talking
that guy's
honestly.
strong. Yeah. And then the other thing is that why would he be introduced into the series and then being told to be going around and successfully hunting down all these people and then straight up say, I'm going to take out Marco next, and then he's just weaker than Marco? I don't understand narratively why that would be the case. Like, imagine Marco didn't come to Wano and he just like and just like Weevil just went and met Marco on an island, then just Weevil just died to him. It's like, what's the
I think
point
he
of this
died
character?
to him, but I think I personally, and this isn't a shot, I think a lot of Weevil's character is being missed there, because it's actually not about him. His mom, he effectively is a strong marionette.
He's Boo.
He actually isn't thinking for himself. It's his mother who is whispering in his ear all of these things. So even if Marco were to be above him, and I don't personally believe there will be maybe a big showdown between these two characters. I don't necessarily know where narratively Weevil's purpose is yet. But I don't necessarily think that Weevil has his own awareness necessarily enough to be like, maybe I should consider not taking Marco out. Nah, because his mum's sitting there whispering, going, you're the true son of Whitebeard. You know, you can take out these pretenders. Even if he was yonks above him, Weevil would still think that's in the realm of possibility because of the whisperings that his little mother's doing in his ear. I don't necessarily think that he has the personality awareness, because he's always depicted with a booger out of his nose and the dumb-looking expression. He's strong, but he's not all there. And I think that's
he
how
could just
I
be
feel.
dumb and ignorant.
Yeah, that's how I
I
feel.
think that, like, it's possible that he's like, you can't really power scale him properly because of he hasn't really had any feats, and at the same time, I generally believe that the hunter is stronger than the prey.
That's fair. Look,
Above him for me though, because he's still kicking, and I think that for me, I put him there because, and then I've got some considerations elsewhere. But Marco for me, the sheer fact that he is still alive, and
Mind
he
you,
doesn't seem
fanboy
too
Marco is so
stressed,
hard.
and he doesn't stress. He's not too stressed about Weevil.
Marco's
For me,
Marco's the good indicator of how you can say someone's strong. Like, you throw Marco in Marineford against the Admirals, and you're like, yeah, the Admirals are strong, and Marco's strong for keeping up with the Admirals. You throw Marco at Garb, and one punch, all of a sudden, you're like, yep, Garb's definitely strong, we've proved that. Oh, how do we make Blackbeard a Yonko? Have him beat Marco. Like, it's sort of the benchmark for the top tier, realistically. So I can understand what you're saying, because of how long... With how delayed Weevil has been from being showcased as a character, all that means is he's going to be stronger when he is released. So I can
Yeah.
see what you're doing.
And for me, currently, I look at Kizaru and I go, Marco had no qualms giving Kizaru a go in Marineford. Even if he didn't land anything significant, Marco still came at that energy. So for me, I look at maybe Weevil's personality type and the way that he's being manipulated. I can't fully give Weevil over Marco, even if I can justify him being over the vast majority of the other Whitebeard survivors.
Alright. I reckon we do 19 to 11, and then we go individually and count up from the 10. We do a countdown on the 10.
Countdown.
Cool.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
My 19, coming in just above Marco. Not much different from your viewpoint on this, having already included the person on the list previously to knowing that he was potentially trash. We have Eustace Kid. Even still, he could still do a lot of damage to the likes of Marco anyway. Like, a metal tornado would still, like, be just as effective as, like, Kizaru's lasers in terms of damage to a single opponent. You know what I mean? So, I just need more from him. It's actually kind of sad. I used to put Kid over Luffy, now I just can't. Coming in above Kid, we have Luffy. So above this point, we like have really hit the end stage of the series here. You know what I mean? So Luffy and Kid being on this level, to me, it's like, if you're in the 20 range, two people in the 20 range are able to have like a reasonable fight against someone in the top 10. You know what I mean? And it's like a reasonably like who will win fight, if that makes sense. Coming in at 17, completing this trilogy of batches, I have the oldest brother of Luffy currently, Sabo, coming in as the number 2 of the Revolutionary Army. Then sliding in above Sabo, I begin the Old Man Trio and include Luffy's mentor, Rayleigh.
Number was that for you?
16.
Okay, there's another similarity.
Making their way just above Rayleigh is the rival of the captain of Rayleigh. We have Garp, the Fist, the hero, whatever you want to call him, the guy with the hands that makes Marco have long-lasting damage.
The Fist of Love.
Yeah, and oddly enough, coming in just above Garp, we and beginning with Garp, we sort of start another affinity of trios. We go from Rayleigh and Garp starting the Old Man Trio and following through with Sengoku, to Garp starting the Marine Trio, because after Sengoku, I have the current Commander-in-Chief of the world government, Kong. I know that might be very decisive. I know there might be a lot of forethought that Kong isn't strong, but I'll get back to it, because coming in above Kong, I have Aokiji. And then sliding their way in and ending off this batch, just breaking neck above Aokiji, I have the world's greatest swordsman, Hawkeye's Mihawk.
Comment yet? Okay.
No comments? I'm good, I'm happy.
No comment yet.
Okay. Daniel, you're 19 to 11.
Okay. My number 19 is generally the Gorosei.
I elected not to include the Gorosei because I didn't know any of their names. Realistically, if I was to slide them in anywhere, I would be sliding them in around the first commander level, because I feel like they're just sort of 5 dudes at that level that are just retiring. Or not necessarily retiring, but they're skilled enough in their past to have life experiences, but they're just sort of just like, they're well-informed, well-trained, so that they know what to do, but they don't necessarily need to be stronger than that.
I mean, that's around about where I put them. I just put them like high first division, really. or slightly above.
Alright, who do you have above the Gorosei?
18 is Old Man Rayleigh. Then at number 17, I have got Sabo.
You think Luffy's overtaken Sabo? Interesting.
I think Luffy has well overtaken Sabo.
No. No.
All right, we're continuing on. Number 16. Number 16, we have got Grandpa Garp.
Garp.
Then at 15, we've got Kong.
Kong made the round. I like it. I like it.
14, we've got Sengoku. We're probably going to fight about these. Then at number 13 is Monkey D. Luffy. Okay, 12, I have Fujitora. And at 11, I've got Green Bull.
Green Bull.
Oh.
Look,
I think you managed to take. You just hit me in the soul. I may have had a shake list.
I'm not even.
You wounded me, Daniel.
I'm not even mad at that placing for Green Bull and Fujitora because that's pretty reasonable. Luffy's like you have Luffy over the Old Man trio. I have Luffy just sitting under them, just because Luffy's only just learnt Rio, but realistically, the whole Old Man trio seemingly know Rio. They've got good observation haki as well. In the case of some of them, Conqueror's haki, and like they've just had a long the Old Man trio. Realistically, is best explained as being like the gatekeepers for the Admiral position.
Mm-hmm.
They're just that last vanguard. And I feel like all of them sort of in their prime were well above that, like being around the Pirate King level, but have just all dropped off significantly. With the exception of Rayleigh just not being that high, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Let's do the third list and then we can talk about these lots.
Go
and we
for it.
can talk about the old people.
Ready for mine?
Yep.
At number 19, I have Ben Beckman.
Hmm?
At number 18, I have Sabo.
Alrighty.
Have I said? I just said number 18, didn't I?
Yep.
It's having a mental breakdown there. Number 7, I have Marco.
17, Marco.
17, 7.
Big jump there.
Maybe I am having a stroke.
Hang on one moment.
It's 7.
Sorry. Who was up?
17, I have Marco.
Yep. After Marco.
At 16, I have Greenball.
Yep.
At 15, I have good old boy Rayleigh.
Alrighty.
14, I have Fujitora.
I'm not liking Fujitora. Grappling a little lower.
I only look at it as in... You expressed a theory to me the other day that I quite liked. People with hair are coming... with white hair are coming out of their prime. One Piece tends to show that. Old people who are still running and active and pretty much in the scene have coloured hair. And that's actually something that is kind of shown throughout One Piece. I mean, you look at Big Mom still having coloured hair. For me, I cannot in good faith put Fujitora above Garp and Sengoku. Or Senpopu. But I physically don't... I love Rayleigh, but I just think he has retired. Like, and that's why I feel like I need to put Fujitora above him, only because he's still out and about, kicking, brings into that coloured hair still, and that's just, I just feel like that's where I gotta put him.
That's fair.
Because then I've got at 13, I've got Garp. At number 12, I've got Sengoku, and then at number 11, I have Aokiji.
Alright, is there anything that wants to be said about that batch of 10 before we move on to the top 10
Oh,
candidates?
My box to
Yes.
10 then, you're like...
I wanted to talk about the oldies.
Yep.
So my thought process around the oldies is that they seem to maintain at least most of their general strength throughout their life, with the exception of Whitebeard because he got sick. Except their durability seems significantly down. So, for example, Garp considered himself able to take out Keinu. Garp hit Marco and made him bloody. Rayleigh clashed evenly against an admiral, but then got really tired pretty damn quick. So my idea around the strongies is that they are very, 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 very strong. However, they are basically like almost as strong as they were in their prime. However, as long as you can match up against them and fight them for a little while without dying, they will eventually fall off pretty quick. Whereas a lot of fighters in One Piece could fight for like days at a time. So basically my idea is as long as you can clash against a big boy and not get like one or two shot and you can actually fight against them for a while, you will eventually beat them. And that's why I put Luffy above the old folks, because I think he has enough tankiness to tussle with them, not beat them. Like he's not going to immediately be stronger than them, but he can tussle with them and then they'll get tired and then he'll just win. Luffy like literally does not.
I think I completely disagree in the sense that I'll use Garp primarily as my example for why I don't think. I think they are still. I think the oldies will never fall too far from the top 10 ever. I just think you're right in terms of power. Their devil fruits stay the same in terms of like Seni. In terms of Seni Pope,
goes to the top of the oldies because he's lost the least power due to having the devil fruit power.
But in terms of, you got to look at Garp. So for me, I think you can't say the Garp hasn't declined if you look at the people that he's been fighting. When we look back at his history, and you're looking at Roger or Rocks, that is significantly differing from Conehead, who splits continents.
Yeah.
Like, as he's gotten older, his combatants have become significantly weaker, and the challenge has still been the same. Garp has been declining, and he's been declining hilariously as his hair has changed and faded color. Garp's opponents are nowhere near what they used to be, but they're proving to be as equally difficult. And that's
my argument for Conehead was that he fought Conehead on multiple times and couldn't break his head or couldn't like overcome him, and then he came back and he said, "This time I'm going to beat you," and then he punched him and he crushed the horn. That would imply
he had to come back. He fought Rocks with only one other person by his side.
Not being able to break his head and then later breaking his head would imply development rather than, or at least a new strategy.
Did he?
Rather than.
I don't remember exactly if he said that he had to come back to do it, but he did say he'd warmed up by destroying 8 mountains that morning. So
yeah, he said this time I will blah 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 blah.
Okay.
To me, it's still not comparable. Like, Luffy tussled himself with this guy in the arena. Like, it's not even remotely the same.
Fair,
Garp looking at the likes of Kaido, Big Mom, and being like, you know what, this is a breeze. Come on, Roger, let's go. Is significantly different from a guy that Luffy can maybe smack around in an arena a decades later inside Doflamingo's arena. Garp significantly his opponent.
To be fair, I think Chinjiao in the arena as well was significantly declined. Like, I don't think the head he had in the arena was splitting continents, even when Luffy rearranged it to be good again.
I think factually old people are.
My argument isn't that they're at their peak still. My argument is that they've only declined a little bit, as opposed to what a lot of people believe, which is like they're at best like Momonga level and things like that.
I think
people tend to consider them to be way, way, way past their prime. Whereas I think, for example, like Rayleigh fighting against Kizaru fairly evenly before he gets tired would imply. Like, I mean, how strong do you really think Rayleigh was in his prime? Do you think he was, like, very easily handling Kizaru? He said that if he was younger, he'd be able to defend against Kizaru and save the Straw Hats at the same time. But does that, like, that wouldn't require him being, like...
That doesn't require him being stronger. That requires him being able to run away. Away and grab
him. Being able to bat him off and then move and then defend and then come back to the fight.
Me, oldies in their prime, top 10. But I agree with you
Yeah.
that they don't move that much from decline. But they physically still cannot be maybe in the top 10, given everything that's going on and the people that should be in the top 10 in order for Luffy to defeat them to mean anything. That's where I sit. I don't look at I use Garp as my example here. I'm sure you could find them in others. And one of the ones actually Jade and I spoke about is the beautiful comparison between Whitebeard's decline and death at Marineford, having white hair, and Sengoku, who's been his rival, black hair still kicking. There is a significant
There's a reason
equivalent.
why I put Garp below Sengoku,
Yeah.
being that Garp has
Yeah.
fallen off significantly more than Sengoku has. I think Garp originally was stronger than Sengoku. And then the reason that I put Kong above Garp is just because Kong seems very, very confident, and he's standing there like jacked
That's
out
true.
of his mind.
Okay.
And I don't think he'd be drawn in a higher position than the Fleet Admiral and jacked out of his mind. I think he would be like, you could tell he was like kind of like the Gorosei. You
Kong-
could tell they're kind of warriors, but they're not.
We're
they don't
told
have it.
Kong currently is second only to the Gorosei in terms of hierarchy. He is Akainu's immediate supervisor and also in charge of CP0 and the Marines. So
Yeah.
I give the respect to Kong there. I don't necessarily say he has to be currently as strong as he used to be, but in the past, in Roger's era, Kong was the Fleet Admiral. So he, seemingly coming from an era that was better, right? And being
Yeah.
the top dog, it's the same as like Garp and Sengoku here, where they were like sort of the strongest grunts in that time. They had like they had a sharp fall off, but their fall off is still stronger than like the current generation. I feel like the same as with Kong. They were just held to a higher standard back then.
Yep.
Still put the oldies in the top 15, but I don't necessarily still believe that they're in the top 10. I believe like Daniel, people disrespect the heck out of them now. They do. I just can't, in good faith, agree that they haven't fallen off out of the top 10.
All right.
I don't have them in the top 10.
No, I'm just saying, like, because a lot of people still do, for some reason. They either put
right.
them in their top 10 or they throw them back past the top 20.
Yeah,
There's no middle ground for them at the moment.
All right.
Yeah, I think they're pretty safe where they are.
Let's
we all
all-
put them in a pretty safe position.
Let's all do our number 10. At number 10, gatekeeping the top 10, I have Greenbull.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, I don't know.
My number 10 is Aokiji.
Okay. Glitter, your number 10?
Leto.
I said glitter.
Oh, I was like, what? My number 10 is Mihawk.
Alright. Coming in on number 9 on my list, I have Fujitora. Currently, the Marines are stated to be the strongest they've ever been. I don't necessarily know if that counts as the Admirals being the strongest they've ever been. I feel like it feels more like the fodder is the best it's ever been. And the middle section of the Marines is the best it's ever been. Daniel, you're number 9.
My number 9 is Mihawk.
Okay. Glitter, number 9.
Number 9 is the one, the only, the stealer of devil fruits, Blackbeard.
Are you a believer that Blackbeard will get another Devil Fruit? Or do you feel like he's as strong as he is now, and that's going to just be where he sits?
Can't talk about it much because I don't know if you've talked about your theory yet. But you have thoroughly convinced me of it, so for that reason I say no, I don't believe it's possible. Based on theory you convinced me of.
Okay.
So, I can't talk about it much, but no, I can't.
Coming in
Doesn't fit.
above Fujitora, I have Mr. All Day, Every Day, Mr. 365, Mr. Zihaha Blackbeard. Zihaha. Alright.
Okay. My number 8 is Kizaru.
Okay. The man, the myth, the light guy.
Yeah.
And then there was light.
Glitter?
My number 8 is Kizaru.
Kizaru making the rounds. Interesting. I like to see him cracking the top 10s. It's always beautiful. Because coming in at number 7, and everyone likes 777, so if we get a 777 here, there'll be big smiles on my face, because the next dude sliding into these DMs is Mr. Red Hair Shanks. Ooh.
Well, I can tell you that my commitment to the 777 is going to be quite a big upset, because my number 7 is Dragon.
Mr. Highest Bounty in the world. Rightio. Is there much of a reason for that? You feel like just him having a threat against the world government raises his bounty, like inflates it more than his skill level, or just not that impressed by him?
Listen, I just think Dragon is the only significant force directly going against the world government. I think every time one of the Yonko start threatening the Navy or the world in any way, the entire world gets scared. And I think that's the same level of a threat that Dragon poses, just that Dragon actively continues to fight against them. I don't see Dragon needing to be that strong because he's more of an administrator than a frontlines warrior. The whole point is that he doesn't want to directly fight people that are his level because it could very easily be a trap. Like, when is he going to just randomly meet like the leader of CP0 or whoever he's going to be fighting? I think he's going to be really, really bloody strong, which is why he's number 7 on the list. I just don't think the Revolutionary Army, the whole point is that they're hiding, right? They don't need to directly oppose the world government. They don't need to directly be as strong as the world government. And also, they generally don't fight the Navy. They generally fight the CP agencies. So far, we haven't seen anyone godly in the CP0.
Okay.
So he might move up if I see a team of elite CP0 agents, like 5 of them that are all Admiral level. But until then, not
Okay,
happening.
no, respectful. I can understand that viewpoint. Glitter, you're number 7?
Bon Clay.
Bon Clay.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No.
In the game.
Bon Clay's number 2, isn't he?
Accidentally put a kid. I've accidentally put Kizaru twice.
Oh.
He is both in 7 and 8. I don't know what happened here. I must have had a bit of a stroke. So I don't even know how to answer this question because I've put Kizaru in both 7 and 8.
Kongin.
Yeah.
I'll whack Kong in then. I got nothing.
Wrong, but whatever.
Right, it is. It's
I'll
wrong,
put
but
Kong question mark. Kong.
yeah, just glitter question mark. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Xerxes.
Okay.
Minato. It's Minato. Minato comes in at 7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I choose Naruto as number 7.
Coming in above Red Hair Shanks currently. I'll preference this saying Shanks has greater potential to beat this person by any stretch of the imagination, but just currently, just in sheer battle power, I cannot give it to Shanks. So coming in at number 6, we have the queen and strongest woman herself, Big Mum.
I have spots above Big Mom. I wonder who's going to fill them.
Some are upsets, some not so much. Number 6,
Okay.
Daniel, who you got?
Number 6 is Blackbeard.
Blackbeard, I like. Is this, do you feel like Blackbeard's getting any stronger, or is this sort of, he's there, he's just waiting?
I think he's always getting stronger. I don't know if he's going to get a 3rd fruit either. I think the only good theory towards him getting a 3rd fruit is the flag. That's it. And there's nothing to say that his fruit, like, there could literally just be like a passive effect of his fruit is that it doesn't take up having a fruit. You know what I mean? It could be something as basic as that. It could be some weird theories like he has 2 stomachs, or the theory
He
that
just
you've
literally
been,
can
that
use,
you've told me.
he can just use the
Yeah,
darkness
there's-
fruit to absorb another fruit and just hold on to it.
There's a lot of reasons why he could have just 2, but there's not as many reasons why he could have exactly 3 and no more. Like, you could argue that he can get as many as he wants, but wouldn't be 3, right? Why wouldn't he just get like 17? So
See, I would argue that he could get as many as he wants, unless it's limited to he can only have one of each type. Like if the tests in the past were just like you eat 2 paramecias and you die, or you eat 2 zones and you die, because they've just got
right, okay.
they
Yeah,
didn't
maybe
te-
like paramecias are so common that everyone that was eating 2 just kept eating 2 paramecias, and then eventually,
it just spread
yeah.
to okay, well, not going to risk that. Whereas if you
He's like the only one that knows.
yeah, it might be that you just are stable if you eat 3 fruits of different types, like a zone, a logia, and a paramecia. Potentially.
Yeah.
Glitter,
Yeah, there's a lot
number
of
6.
possibilities, but yeah. That's my 6.
6. I have the pregnant a year Big Mom.
Whew. Big Mum making the rounds. I like.
Good at 666.
I like that.
Let's go number 5.
Here comes my upset. Coming
Oh,
in
God.
above Big Mum, coming in above Shanks,
Are you ready
coming
to-
in
are you ready to
above
go?
Blackbeard. The light at the end of the tunnel.
Get out of
Oh,
here.
you're a joke. You're an actual joke. I knew I hadn't seen that. You're such
Get
a stand
out of
for
here.
him.
Get
Such a
out of
stand
here.
for Kizaru.
Oh,
when I-
you are
okay, hang on.
sick.
When I placed,
Oh, no.
who was it? When I placed Iceman,
Okay,
I had that thought
Okay,
of,
too.
I'm so glad that I can say that he's been like injured and slightly weakened, so that I don't have to keep having the fight with you of Kizaru versus Aokiji, because they were 100% even back then. But you would not let it go. You fight so hard for Kizaru.
He's just got. He's like Cracker in a lot of
no.
ways. He's just got a ridiculous betrayal. There's been no situation really where Kizaru's been injured throughout the entire story, and we've seen him fight at least 5 top tier people now. He's fought. Just talking it out, he's fought Rayleigh and was reasonably fine against Rayleigh. He fought Marco, was reasonably fine against Marco. Took on Whitebeard, was doing well against Whitebeard. Got held at gunpoint by Ben Beckman, but then immediately moved regardless of Ben Beckman's threat and just went after Luffy. Did he really fight anyone else in the war? There was some
Very
random...
biased.
Yeah, look, I could try and defend this answer. I just feel like Kizaru versus Big Mum, right? With how easy Kizaru was just putting hole after hole through Whitebeard, right? To me, those same attacks are probably piercing Big Mum in a giant hide. So like realistically, and because he's a speed-based character and a range-based character, I feel like he just has a great time against Big Mum. Against Shanks, a lot harder of a time, and honestly, I see that more as like a 50-50 toss-up that I might even give Shanks the advantage over potentially. Against Blackbeard, though, it's the same thing again as if it was like against Big Mum, where he can just pop off shots, and Blackbeard's not a very fast, reactive person, you know what I mean? And then below that, the new Admirals haven't really shown anything majorly impressive, and I feel like Aokiji dropped off in strength after losing to Akainu. Not by much, but...
Aokiji has to, at base value, be under Blackbeard, considering where his now new position is.
Yeah.
So I can argue that, but man, I cannot. Out of everything that we've just agreed with this evening, that has to be.
I knew that would have been the red hot take of it, but hey,
okay,
there's still 4 spots above him.
I think the big thing is that like you're thinking favorably to Kizaru about how he fights against these different people that are below him, without necessarily just considering his overall combat strength. He's just not as strong as
he has.
I mean,
you're science based.
Sure,
You
Big
love
Mom's fire
light.
might not work. His lightning might not work. Her lightning might not work, but against everyone else, they would. Right?
But against everyone else,
wreck
Kizaru's
way
lasers
more
are just
than he would.
buttering people as well, if not easier than hers.
lasers are extremely easy to dodge. You literally saw Luffy immediately post time skip dodge pacifista lasers.
Pacifista,
Without even
one
barely
pacifista.
moved.
We see even that's very arguable. Did Luffy dodge the laser, or was his observation haki telling him where the laser was going to shoot and dodging the pacifista's path of shot? Because with
Yeah,
Kizaru,
that's more likely. But
because
at
with
the same time, people punch pretty quick. you know?
Kizaru has shown Rio. Kizaru, I would have said, didn't showcase an advanced observation haki during Marineford, but in rereading it, there was a moment where he was about to take out Luffy, and he created a pathway of light, and then last second he dodged out of it because Whitebeard tried to attack in front of the pathway. So that implies a level of observation haki there. Not necessarily the same as Akainu and Aokiji, but in terms of the rest of him, like, Kizaru has just not had a bad betrayal so far. And even as close as it at the beginning of Wano, just the guts of him saying, do you want me to go take out Big Mom and Kaido?
So all I'm going to say is the 3 admirals were confirmed to be equally as strong at the war.
Yep.
You've agreed with that,
Yep.
and we haven't seen any growth from Kizaru since.
Yep.
That's
that's
really
that's
what
my
we're
point. There has been no.
So
there
unless
has been
you're
no growth.
saying,
Aokiji,
so unless
pre-time
you're saying
skip.
each of those 3 admirals could have beaten Big Mom.
Yep.
Oh.
Pre-time skip.
Insane.
Pre-time skip. It's an extreme high diff fight, and I feel like Big Mom has a probably better advantage against Akainu and Aokiji in a fight than Kizaru, because seemingly they create more of their element as like an area of effect of fighting, which Big Mom might be able to use to her advantage with the homies, whereas Kizaru is shooting off like individual attacks only. He's not really like turning the landscape into his element. But like I feel like where I have Kizaru now is pre-time skip, where I would have had the 3 admirals as like a line up there. I feel like
That's
that's the
insane to
position.
me,
This
because
is my
why would
last-
any of the admirals be alive?
This is my
All have
last thing I'm
territory.
gonna say
So-
about it, though, Jade, is that like quite literally, as Daniel kind of have put it, Kizaru hasn't improved, and when you compare, what Akainu and Aokiji did to their island, and then you just compare just the sheer, just almost a playful bang that Kaido and Big Mom's interaction caused in their environment. Like,
Hey,
there's just no way.
One island got a little bit of lightning. The other island split in half and is permanently scarred.
I believe
with
they're actually
one
going at
element
each other,
either
though.
side, though. Like
That's what I'm saying.
well, I mean, it was implied that Big Mom and Kaido were going at each other there. It's just neither of them can hurt each other. Like, neither of them has Rio, and seemingly you need Rio or an ability that specifically negates their defense to even hurt them. So they can't even hurt each other, really. They just both sort of slog at each other.
From a
We're gonna
narrative
get-
perspective,
Yeah.
you genuinely believe that admirals are one single admiral is stronger than Yonko.
I feel like the
Big Mom
admirals
is like the median level
yeah.
of the Yonko.
So
right?
Big Mom and Kizaru are the medium level of the Yonko and Admiral position. I would feel like overall the Yonko are probably overall better than the Admirals. Hence why like I've got Fujitora and Green Bull under the Yonko, and I've got a weakened Aokiji under the Yonko. But I feel like if you lined up the pre-time skip 3 Admirals and you picked 3 Yonko, and it was 3 aside v 3 aside, it's pretty toss up even, realistically.
I guess we're gonna have to.
Like if you
Agree
threw them on a
to disagree.
deserted
Why would
island
it-
where they're not defending anything,
Why are the Yonko still alive?
The
Why
Yon-
doesn't 2 admirals just go together to Big Mom's territory and literally wipe out everyone? If a Yonko is strong enough to one-shot a First Division commander, nobody will stand a chance other than a
Because-
slight distraction. So 2 admirals would easily be able to take out the entire of...
because it is still an
Big Mom's
extremely high diff fight, and as we've been told multiple times, the world government didn't want to interfere with the Yonko. They wanted to keep the power of balance, and they were doing everything they could to keep everyone at a stalemate from fighting pre-time skip, to the point where they were more worried about a warlord in Crocodile and his role being fulfilled to keep to keep it seemingly even against the 4 Yonko and the entirety of the world government and the 7 warlords, then they would care about Shanks meeting up with Whitebeard and potentially forming an alliance there. You know what I mean? And like, realistically, when Marineford happened, Whitebeard's ability is like, as I was saying, he's got the ability to destroy the world. It doesn't matter how many people they have. Numbers doesn't matter there because he's going to just be as potent as he is regardless. But they took the people for Marineford not to fight Whitebeard. They took the people for Marineford knowing Whitebeard was coming with whatever allies he had. They knew that Kaido was on his way and Shanks had intercepted Kaido and was potentially on his way as well. They didn't expect it, but they ended up having to deal with all the Impel Down breakees and Luffy's whole group coming in. Like, realistically, the Fleet Admiral is above the other admirals, right? And I feel like saying Kizaru is sort of like in that healthy medium, but he, like, to put it in an example, right? The next person up on my list is Kaido. I feel like Kaido beats Kizaru. I don't feel like that is a question in my mind, right? But I feel
Shouldn't
like
even be a
Kizaru is still like taking Big Mom, Shanks, or Blackbeard to an extreme high diff fight, and in a few cases, I'll probably give Kizaru the slight edge of beating them.
Why is Kizaru not taking out Kaido? He's
We're gonna
that
have
strong.
to move on because there's just no way that we're probably going to agree.
Because
with
unlike Big Mom, unlike Shanks, and unlike Blackbeard, I honestly feel like Kaido's healing factor, and as we've seen, he's like instantly healing back from attack after attack after attack, is just giving him an edge in the long drawn out fight. And I feel like even though Kizaru's built for a long drawn out fight compared to Rayleigh, that's nothing compared to like what Kaido is. You know what I mean? And Kaido, again, has like that versatility aspect where he's like able to lift an island, right? He's attacking with wind sides, he's attacking with fire, he's attacking with his club. There's so many possibilities. We haven't even seen a hybrid form yet. Like, but we've seen Big Mom. Big Mom now, as strong as she is, doing her like strongest attacks and that. And I still feel like Big Mom riding Napoleon with Zeus and Napoleon and Prometheus is still like just losing out to sort of Kizaru, and it's a high diff fight. Like they, like when I say that, and when you say like why don't 2 admirals just roll up on a Yonko, it's because to get to the Yonko you got to go through all the fodder. Yes, the Marine, like they could like a warm knife cut through the butter of all the fodder, but by the time they get to the Yonko, they're going to be fatigued because even though they're dealing with fodder like no diff, as it gets harder and harder, the people that are slightly harder, like they're losing that stamina advantage, or they're getting hurt maybe here and there from like some of the commanders and that, to the time where by the time they get to that top tier area, they could win, but by the time they win, they're going to be injured, and then there's no reason to say that any of the other Yonko doesn't just go, well, you're injured now, we're just going to go take out the injured people and win.
I don't know. I could absolutely see 2 Yonko rocking up on another Yonko and just wiping them out completely. Yeah.
I see, again, when I say the admirals, I feel like are around that Yonko level, right? I'm giving the edge here to the Yonko because we've seen more of them, where we also, like the Marines, we've seen them fight with Yonko in the past reasonably equally, but we're also holding off on actually having the Marines showcased in an all-out fight, if that makes sense as well. So, and as I've said here, like Fujitora and Greenbull, they're ridiculously powerful, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where I don't necessarily, like, to me, out of Big Mom, Shanks, and Blackbeard, Kizaru's hardest fight there is Shanks, right? And that could be a toss-up. But taking out Big Mom, taking out Blackbeard, I see as being a lot more reasonable than it being far-fetched, if that makes sense.
I don't think it's a matter of matchup, because this is strength overall.
I mean,
So
overall
I think what
strength,
we're
though,
more
when we're in the
is
top 10,
strong.
the overall strength in the top 10 is pretty much like borderline even with everyone. Like, in terms of betrayal, everyone at this level is sort of just given the same betrayal, except for who I feel like everyone's got at number 1.
Mm. I don't know. I
Keep
think
your
Aokiji
knowledge
is
of
just definitely
science
weaker than.
and the way that you like, because you love science, you love all of that, and I think you might be giving Kizaru the person more credit by considering how you would have used a light fruit, because I don't think Kizaru has demonstrated that he's above the Yonko, not to the way that you're
I'm.
describing, and I think that
I
comes
mean,
from the awareness of what he could do.
to
And I,
say he's above the
yeah,
Yonko implies he's above all the Yonko. I still have Yonko above him.
yeah, but the Yonko that we're discussing is Big Mum,
Yeah,
and then you've
but we're
just gone and
saying that if
also
Big Mom
said,
is the median level and Kizaru is the median level, then therefore admirals in general would be stronger than
No,
Yonko.
see, I see it more as like a
talking
toss
about how
up.
you said
I see
that
it more
Big
as a.
Mum and Kaido clashed and it was
I,
relatively even. So if you're telling me the Big Mum and Kaido had that bat at each other and it was fairly
I
evened out because they
again,
can't injure each other, then how is
I
Kizaru
see it.
in between both of them?
I see it more as a toss up at the moment because, like, realistically, I feel like Blackbeard hasn't achieved his full power up. So I feel like Blackbeard still has a power up installed. So Blackbeard is where he is right now, just with what he's got right now, right? I'm not like upscaling him to have any more than what he's got right now. So I feel like at the end of the series, Blackbeard is going to surpass Kaido in terms of threat level. So at the moment, though, he's like bottoming out there. Shanks, I feel like, is the most threatening Yonko because if you look at him objectively, right, if he eats a fruit, he becomes the strongest Yonko as well. But although everyone, and I feel like the world at large, gives him that threat level, hence why he's got a 4 billion bounty and not 2.2 billion when Blackbeard's got 2 fruits already. The reason Shanks is there is because I feel like he is the weakest of the Yonko, but he's got the potential to be the strongest. And with the way Haki works as well, because he doesn't have a fruit, that just makes his potential growth with Haki be potentially like world breaking, where he might develop a better Haki than even anyone else has ever discovered. You know what I mean? With Big Mum, I feel like Big Mum's a medium. It's just that Shanks is the weakest because of that. Blackbeard's going to eventually surpass that, if that makes sense. In terms of Kizaru being where he is, I feel like Kizaru at the moment being above those people is reasonable. But if Shanks ate a fruit, he'd dick on Kizaru. If Blackbeard gets a third fruit or a power up like I think he is, he's going to beat Kizaru. So it's just currently where I see it is Kizaru's just holding that vanguard and just toughing out in an extreme diff fight. But that's now, right? You give it a couple years in that when a few things shift in the world at large, and Kizaru's probably going to slide under them.
Or number 5.
Alright, Daniel, number 5.
My number 5 is Shanksu.
Same.
Shanks. Bingo, bingo. My number 4 is Kaido.
My number 4 is Big Mum.
Big Mamu. And Glitter, yours?
Kaido.
Kaido. My number 3 is Akainu, being the current
So
fleet
is
admiral.
mine.
Ooh, do we go for triple Akainus? Glitter?
Same. I'm Akainu as well.
Hey, I like that. For
Hey.
number 3, we get triples. that wasn't planned or anything. Coming in at number 2 for me, we have Monkey D. Dragon.
Same. I've got Monkey D. Dragon.
Daniel,
I have Kaido.
bringing Kaido in at number 2 in the verse. And I feel like all of us, without talking, know who we've all got number 1.
God himself,
Same.
Imu-san.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
See, this is why we push it to a top 50, because the discussion wasn't going to be who's number 1. Because, like, realistically, with the way the story's leading, it's impossible to see Imu as anything but going to be the main villain of the series by the end.
Im is just like Kaguya, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there any discussion to be had with the top 10, or did we pretty much pump that out with me getting, like, targeted hard for the Kizaru?
Absolutely Hulk ragdoll. Like, Daniel picked you up and was just like bang, bang,
Yeah.
bang on the ground. He was not having a bar of it.
Yeah, well, we've had the Kizaru conversation so many times. The problem is that the
Daniel went
war
off.
is so crap to power scale with. It's just so bad. We just don't know, because the whole thing is like post time skip. Way that we've seen every top tier has been around their haki, with the exclusion of the Yonko because they haven't really needed to yet because they haven't been pushed.
Whereas,
So like every commander we've seen so much haki, whereas in the war and before the war, there wasn't haki. Like they used a little bit of haki, kind of, if we look hard, but
the people that used haki as well.
You attacked him with haki, and it's like, I don't know what that means. Like,
but the people pre-time skip that used haki, like realistically, the ones we're looking at, if you look at Marineford, it's the Admirals, Whitebeard, Marco, Vista, and Jozu.
Yeah.
So it's
and here's the thing, like Oda might have been showing Conqueror's haki for a really long time, but you could argue a lot of instances early in the series where he showed like different types of haki and stuff, but like realistically, I don't think he had the whole haki system planned out. I think he had an idea for some kind of like willpower ability that people are going to get later on, but I don't think he had the armament perception conquerors and the whole idea of it planned out, and the hardening and all that stuff. I just don't think like anything.
I feel like
regards to haki.
I feel like he did come up with it. I feel like Observation came into it with Skypiea, and then Armament Haki followed with Eni's Lobby and that, or at least the precursor to them, and they both evolved from there.
That's what I mean, is there are so many cases where you're like, oh, he was using haki, you just couldn't see the hardening, or he was using haki, it was just like a preliminary version that doesn't actually make your hand black, which we've never had explained to us is an actual thing ever.
I chalk that up
we've heard that the CP9 members knew haki, but we don't know if what they were doing was haki, or Luffy. We never saw Luffy learn how to harden his hand without making it black. You never saw him advance from standard haki to blackening haki or whatever.
I chalk it up to we didn't see it pre-time skip because Luffy didn't actively have observation haki pre-time skip, because you can now actively make the criticism that Zoro cutting Daz bones is a form of Rio, which would be armament haki of some kind, right?
Yeah.
So if he can do that there, we've seen Luffy use Conquerors, and realistically, if you look at the Rob Lucci fight, Rob Lucci was using Rio as well, striking, right? If we know those things...
I get it, but my point being is, I just feel like he came up with it based on what he'd already shown.
No, I agree.
For a power system, but he hadn't worked it out yet.
I feel like he used Skypiea in Eni's Lobby to test it, to see if people would like that ability being incorporated, because they were both like, you got a civilization that's separate to the rest of the world, so anything that happens there doesn't have any bearings on the rest of the series if you don't want it to. You have a secret organization that's secret, so if you don't want the storyline of abilities that they have to continue past there, you just go, well, no one else knows it because it's secret. I feel like it was a narratively good way to introduce the ideas of haki, so then by the time we got to Marineford, I feel like he had haki thought through and knew what it was and how to showcase it. But before that, instances of it were sort of like... and even in Marineford, I feel like we don't even know fully what was shown with haki, because I feel like Oda himself wanted it to be vague in case he needed room for growth.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
So that's the top 50 done. Is there anything anyone wants to raise with that? With anyone's lists?
I think I left out a couple of people. I would have wanted to put Lucci in there somewhere. I would have wanted to put NL in there somewhere.
That you're too busy sleeping on Bawa, but that's fun.
I think I put Boa in the same spot that you put her, right directly below Katakuri, but only just. And I think Boa, Katakuri, and King are one of the three closest, like, triple in my whole list.
I can't tolerate her respect, and it's not from, oh, she's a girl thing. It's actually because, like, she became a warlord at 8 years of age. She's, there's so many things backing her that I think people look at her Hinata type personality of being in love and then going, it just seems to discredit her for some reason when she's actually a full-on weapon, and I just don't think enough people talk about that.
Yeah. In fairness, I had Tsuru and Gorosei, which neither of you had. So if you
Yeah.
take those two out, he's
See,
29.
Tsuru to me in her prime was stronger than Doflamingo, but in her old age drops past that. So I got no idea where to
White
rank
hair
Tsuru.
theory.
Yep. In terms of the Gorosei, the only reason I left them out is because the way I looked at this is I wasn't going to put an organization as a character, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I just left it as individuals, the entire list, just for me personally.
I see her as like Garp level of like independence and like kind of prestige, not prestige in sort of like she's not the hero of the Marines, but like, you know, she's like very well respected with the higher ups. She's not as much of a fighter. She just uses her power and wrecks you.
I feel like she's more of a tactician as well. Like,
she's the person that she would put in front of, like, if they were doing like a massive raid on Roger and they were organizing like a fleet of ships, she would be the one leading it, and then Garp would be on the front lines fighting it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. All right, I reckon next time we do a top 50 or top 30 stream is either in a year's time or after the end of Wano. What do you guys reckon?
Beef I do have, I think we collectively need to talk about, is the fact that in other streams, some people have dead set put Kobe in their top 30.
Oh yeah, have you heard this, Daniel?
And
way.
Nothing hurts. It hurts.
The thought process.
Oh, it's because they think she's gonna beat Boa, right?
Yeah, and if he beats Boa, I refuse to acknowledge it because I think it's just revolting.
I feel like, if anything, he's going to fight the Boa sisters, and that's going to be what makes him look great. He's going to be able to fight two people that we know have armor and observation and Rio, even if it's just a base form of it. And that's a definitive power scaling where you can go, like, he's stronger than a Warlord's right hand. Then the next time you see him, he can have another massive jump and then jump to Admiral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
True.
I don't know where the logic follows of that, of the of him beating Boa. It's never been implied that he's going to win. It's just implied that he's a part of the mission. He didn't say like, it's just me going in alone, I'm going to have to take out Boa. He just said, okay, I'm here now, reporting back to blah blah blah. It's not implied that he's alone. It's not implied that he's strong enough to take on Boa. Like, he could literally just be a scout, because he's got really good observation hockey. He could be just like, hey, I know you're in the area, you have really good observation hockey, sail up and then, check it out. Make sure she's there, because you can see everything on the island.
Just while this thought's in my mind, I'd really like to point out as well the whole, the Marines are too busy to deal with Big Mom and Kaido thing when they're dealing with the Warlords, because recently the Warlord abolishment episode came out, and I feel like that made things a lot clearer for me in how I view this, right? Where a lot of people were like, oh, well, Kizaru's talking about going and smacking up Big Mom and Kaido and that, but like the Marines aren't able to get involved, they don't have enough resources to deal with the Warlords, how strong are the Warlords, blah 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 blah. That's not what they've just got to deal with. You got to think about, like, they're trying to take out the 7 Warlords, which there's only Mihawk, Boa, Buggy, and Weevil at the moment, right? So they're dealing with strong people in them, but then they've got whatever the news is to do with Sabo and Vivi. So arguably, the Marines are like, we can't go deal with 2 Yonko because we're taking on the Revolutionary Army and the Warlords. Like, off screen, you don't know what the perception is of what they're actually dealing. Like, and I feel like a lot of people haven't sort of made the connection that potentially it's like they're gearing up to take on the Revolutionaries and more specifically Dragon, while also going, alright, and we've also got rid of our allies and are now taking out Boa, who's like first commander level, Mihawk, who's like just under Admiral level, Weevil, who's just under Admiral level, and Buggy, who's just got a heap of good allies. So
yeah, that's true. The
And
thing is, like, you don't necessarily know what they're kind of spending their metaphorical budget on.
yeah,
Like, they could have
Avoidance
a lot of
just because they
people.
don't want to get involved.
Yeah, right.
because
They could have like level 2 or level 3 like pacifists, and they could be trying to mass produce them, and they're spending all their resources on that.
yeah,
Yeah,
like and because like realistically, if I was abolishing the warlords, I'd be sending an admiral to each one of the warlords to just guarantee they're out. But
yeah,
in this situation, it's just like they don't even have the resources to do that, because not only do they have to potentially take on the revolutionaries, potentially take on the remaining warlords, deal with whatever Yonkos are left that would potentially move in the forms of Blackbeard and Shanks, but they've also got to defend Marie-Joie, so there's always got to be an admiral stationed at Marie-Joie regardless. So it's like
yeah,
Akainu is sort of at Marineford. There's an admiral sort of always just hanging around Marie-Joie to protect the Celestial Dragon. So they've only ever really got two admirals to move around, unless they're like specifically gearing up for a war, where it's in one specific location.
yep. That's true.
So yeah, I just thought I'd get that off my chest and mention the fact that that's a thing.
Yeah.
All right. I think we'll end it there, yeah? Any last comments from anyone about anyone's lists?
You think?
No. I think if I I don't know, if I put a lot of effort into it and like talked with your lads about like for like an hour, arguing over each individual person, it would look a little bit different. But that would take a long time.
Hey, we can always do a power scaling stream like some other time. This is just our current thoughts on the top 50, and
Yeah.
I'll save this as well because we can always come back to it and reflect on it.
Mhm.
All right. Peace and have a good night. Till next time.